All right, folks. I'm here. I'm alive. Welcome on in. Welcome on into the Central Committee stream with your host, Mike from PA. I have my headset on today. Isn't that great? I swear, I got iPods, right? And I just hate them. I just don't like them. Room looks dark today. Oh, that's the camera issue. Hold on. Let me fix that. Welcome on in, everybody. You know, starting and ending streams has never really been my my strong suit. You know what I mean? You just got to get in here and start. Anyway, today is February 5th, 2026. Welcome on in. Central Committee stream, your home of the most prescient, clear-eyed analysis by wired IEMs. The only reason I haven't done that is every time I look into it, it gets dumber. Like, for some reason, in-ear monitors has the most weird enthusiast community, and I just don't trust it. You know what I mean? Like, I wish I could go back to the period of time when I was naive and I could just buy shit according to what Reddit recommended. But now that I know that it's so fucking botted and so manipulated, I don't trust it. Anyway, welcome on in, everybody. It's the Central Committee stream. This is your host, Mike from PA. We are live once again. Republicans are defending Epstein clients. Alt-righters are like, oh, it's so they're oscillating between there's nothing, the Epstein files, who cares, there's nothing in there, to actually Epstein was based. Holy shit, chat. Bitcoin, my god, Bitcoin crashing. Oh, okay, I think you could officially call it a crash. It's beyond a crash. Holy sh! Oh yeah, that's, I mean, once it goes down about 10%, you say that's a correction. But now that we're down from a peak, I mean, it's halved. It's halved since October. What do I think of Mamdani endorsing Hochul? I think that Democratic consultant brain has infected Zohran, and I'm very concerned, if I'm being completely honest. Waste Management Scion Failson says the Epstein files are a moral panic. All I know, Chad, is holy fucking hell, this is a crash. What precipitated this? Bitcoin faces selling pressure as investors rotate out of risk-on assets.
Today, Bitcoin faces pressure amid a sell-off in tech stocks. President Trump's crypto advisor hosts a meeting between the banking industry and crypto executives on how to
bail it out, guys. They're not going to let this thing go to zero. They'll bail it out. Both parties are going to bail it out. I think I might. I mean, I'm not, obviously, would never recommend any action. They're bailing this shit out. There's no fucking way they don't. I mean, that's my general feeling. Like, there's so many crypto donors, and the Democratic Party is so full of corrupt people. There's no fucking way. And the Republicans, it goes without saying, they'll do whatever. They won't bail it out. This happens every 4 years. What I mean by that is there's no chance of it actually going to zero.
Resolve the issue of stablecoin rewards. And in an exclusive on-camera interview, Senate Agriculture Committee Chairman John Boozman explains what's next.
Bitcoin crashing, the wider markets going down, gold and silver. Oh, whoa! What the fuck? Why would it go to zero? Nobody was saying that. Well, why is it at 68,000? Oh god. Oh god. Why is she? I only hold my hands like this when I am deeply uncomfortable, as everybody knows. Why would you intentionally post this video of yourself? What is she wearing? I try to criticize her attire, but why is she wearing the Willy Wonka suit? Honestly, this is 1993 chic. Are we going back to the gigantic shoulder pads pantsuits? This is honestly something the Joker would wear. If I saw Jared Leto in this, I'd be like, oh, I guess they brought him back. I do not understand how she's perma-locked. I'm sorry, Chad, but she's perma-locked into a Joker smile and surprised eyebrows. I don't, it feels like someone, it's like her brain is being stimulated by a strong electrical current. Barry Weiss's sister says that she likes to ask people at dinner parties what their goal weight is. I think if someone comes up to you and asks you what your goal weight is, you are allowed to knock them out. What the fuck are you talking about? That might be the most rude comment I've ever seen.
One of my sister's favorite icebreakers to ask at a dinner party, in addition to asking people's goal weight, is this. What's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Guys, I'm gonna catch a charge if I watch these Barry Weiss videos, dude. Like, honest to God, like, I don't worry about banning me. I mean, I'm gonna catch a charge. Jesus Christ, man. These people are, what can you even really say anymore? I'm in this like mental space where I feel like everybody agrees with me now. That's like winnable. Like, people don't even bother disagreeing with me anymore. It's hurting my fucking engagement. You know what I mean? It's like, they don't even disagree anymore. When did we stop calling these weirdo losers the weird losers that they are? I never stopped. And like, ultimately, I just don't even know what to say anymore. Did she sell her like Twitter account? Is that what happened? She sold her Twitter account? That's what the announcement was? They're like, her Twitter account has 1 million followers. Well, nobody likes her, so we can't keep using it called Kamala HQ. What if we just sell it to someone and they call it headquarters? And part of the like, did she sell the account? Did she sell the account or something? And to remove her name so the buyer wouldn't be associated with her directly anymore? I mean, what the, like, what is this? Open Presence has dropped 100 gifted subs. It has apparently broken Twitch because that took it forever to figure out who to give it to. Thank you so much, man. Chat, do you ever feel like you're tired, but you're also not tired in the sense that you're never going to stop and you're going to keep streaming every single day? Because I do. It's been a while since I did like a hardcore streak. You know what I mean? I was doing my Monday to Friday grind set, you know, taking the weekends off. And now I'm like, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that? No more weekends off. God, this is just, holy shit. Okay, so stocks are crashing too, right? Stocks are under pressure again as the NASDAQ on pace for worst 3-day slide since April. How did Google went down 5%. A chatter was right. A chatter yesterday said that Google parent share 4.9% in pre-market as of 7:50 a.m. Eastern time. They reported fourth quarter revenue of 113.83 billion. This is where all the money that should be going to creatives is going. Like, all the money that should be going to you and me, anybody who creates content, this is where it's all going. It's all going to fucking Google. The tech giant said it would significantly increase its 2026 capital expenditure to between 175 and 185 billion. It would go towards investing in AI compute capacity for Google DeepMind. The fuck even is Gemini? Google's AI assistant. Bitcoin drops below 70,000 as sell-off continues and pessimism grows. God damn. Bitcoin is down. Bitcoin peaked just north of $126,000 in early October. On Thursday, Bitcoin fell as low as 69,000 for the first time, below 70,000 since November 2024. This steady selling, in our view, signals that traditional investors are losing interest and overall pessimism about crypto is growing. Bitcoin underperforming gold. I mean, this is kind of playing back to form. Bitcoin crashing with tech companies. That was the traditional pattern. Did I F? Oh, I'm dropping some frames. What happened? All right, we're back. It looks like I dropped frames for 10 seconds. Sorry about that, chat. All right, let me see if I can find some CNBC. Oh God, look at that. Look at how bad YouTube is now. Look at how bad YouTube is now. Bitcoin collapse, Bitcoin crash. Loving life as Megan. So this is botted fucking accounts. Now we know why they crashed Bitcoin on purpose. People think like Graham Stephan might be the dumbest piece of shit I've ever seen. How the fuck does anybody like this guy? God damn it, dude. Holy fucking hell. Look at this slop. Look at this fucking slop. Everything is fucking slop. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. Then you have this fake CNBC channel.
Today, Bitcoin faces...
So it's like CNBC television, which is like not CNBC. I'm like, wait, is it? Did they completely change their like branding? Oh my God, they did. They got rid of the peacock. They got rid of the peacock.
Digital asset exchange bullish. Out with fourth quarter results, company reported a loss of $3.73 a share. Revenue, though, topped $92 million, which beat estimates. Joining us now to break down the numbers and give his take on...
It's like, guys, I lost $3 a share, but our revenue beat estimates. How the fuck are you losing so much?
Move lower as Tom Farley, a bullish CEO. Come on all the time.
Friend of the show.
You were running
that,
that legacy outfit down the street.
Yeah,
the New York Stock Exchange.
Yeah, world's leading stock exchange. That's right.
You come in here and say that.
No, I respect the heck out of this place in Adena. In fact, I was looking at the pictures out there, and there's a lot of good moments here as well.
It is.
New pictures, too.
Yeah, there are some new ones. Instead of a guy who looks like Jeff Bezos. I don't really know who that is. Anna Kournikova. Crazy. Catch a falling knife, 69,000 now on Bitcoin. We had people that are big in the industry say it won't go under 100, won't go under 90. I guess the other thesis was that it used to pull back 80% when it wasn't as instant. Maybe this time it pulls back half of that, where I think we are now. Do you think we're anywhere near a bottom in the latest crypto winter?
Euphoria on the upside, catastrophic ideation on the downside. We're clearly
because there's nothing to why? Like, what is Bitcoin worth? What is Bitcoin worth? Unless there is some governmental money flowing in, it's not even a tulip bulb. But I think that is like the next stage of capitalism is just valueless value. Bitcoin is the modern equivalent of the Baron title. Although maybe not the Barrett title. There was a bunch of no, that's not correct. It's like the Knight of the Swan or some shit. You know what I mean? It's like you're paying all this money for some words. Tulips at least got you a pretty flower to look at. Yeah, it's like a Kentucky Colonel, exactly.
The latter, we're not immune from it at Bullish. We own around about 25,000 Bitcoin, and so that impacts us directly. But we're just building through it. We had record revenue, record adjusted EBITDA. The cool thing about what's going on, I know I sound a little bit like Baghdad Bob because I'm sure the charts on the screen right now just show massive downdrafts and everything price related. But if you kind of put a long lens on it, institutions are coming currently. They will be coming. The future is on chain. I do think we will get a market structure bill.
But why? But why? But why though? Why is it on chain? Like, why is the future on chain? Notice that he's immediately talking about how government is going to prop it up. Every single one of these libertarian market guys are 100% grifter fucks. His thesis for why Bitcoin is going to go up is the government's going to do it.
And we're going to see more and more major asset classes. And we're going to see more. They will be coming. The future is on chain. I do think we will get a market structure bill in Congress, and we're going to see more and more major asset classes moving on to publicly available blockchains, and that's what we're playing for. It's what we've always been playing for.
Well, it's obviously a correlated asset. It's the opposite of a non-correlated.
With alpha, it's correlated plus exaggerated.
Yeah, exactly. And a lot of positive fundamental.
So that sounds like leverage, my friend. That sounds like a speculative asset that's based off of leverage. And so in a bull period, it expands like crazy. But in a contraction where credit gets tighter, interest rates go up, people start needing cash. It means it collapses rather dramatically. And it doesn't have a bottom because there's nothing there. At least if you buy a stock in a company, the bottom is the book value. The bottom is the revenue of the company. Like, Mike, please read. What am I trying to read? It'll bottom below 50K. Central orgs want to force liquidity of Bitcoin so they can buy it cheap.
Things happened in the last couple of years in terms of adoption and ETFs.
Friendlier administration, crypto.
Friendlier administration, but this is across the board. It's Ethereum. I don't know how much that's down. It's Solana. It's just across the board.
Yeah, there's a Kevin Warsh element here. By the way, I think I think he was a great pick. But
right away,
there's going to be higher long-term rates.
Balance sheet gets shrunk. Things like this. Anything Momo or liquidity based.
A heavy element of speculation.
Yeah.
That gets hit. There's AI takes over the world, right? Software. Just look at all the big software stocks in the last month or two. So the correlation is almost perfect between Bitcoin price and software stocks.
It is.
So there's that narrative out there. There's a whole bunch of unhelpful narratives. I don't know where it stops.
Well, the whole thing is narrative. The whole thing is narrative. What is it not narrative? Should we invest in firearms? How well do rifles retain value? They're fucking cheap steel. Guns are one of the most overpriced things on the fucking planet. All you need is a fucking lathe.
Joe, the price of Bitcoin was down several thousand overnight. But I'm telling you, we're just like during the day, we're not constantly looking at the price of Bitcoin. We're just saying, wait a minute, bear markets. Like when I look back over my career, that's where you make the really smart, impactful long-term decisions. Organic growth opportunities, inorganic growth opportunities. So we're, at Bullish, we're catering to the institutions. We're building a regulatory framework. It's hard for other crypto companies to do. They're just not credible, compliant, respected by regulators. We've launched an options platform straight up and to the right. So those are the sort of things that are keeping us busy. And it shows in the results, the revenue, the adjusted EBITDA,
Bitcoin is often argued to monetize excess energy. That's what powers the mining and everything. But now data centers are causing massive increases in the cost of electricity, means there's no excess to electricity to monetize. I think that's actually a really good point. I think that's a good point. However, the other aspect is all the excess electricity is in China and will continue to be in China. And China doesn't like crypto because China has this foolish belief that the government should be in charge of the country and not random fucking scumbags. Like they have this idea that maybe the unelected oligarch should probably, with no accountability, should not be in charge of anything. And maybe the country should serve the interests of the people of that country. I don't know. It's fucking crazy. I know you're laughing. I know you're laughing right now. Do nothing win. Okay. Can I rant for a second? I absolutely hate the do nothing win because it's the opposite. It's the opposite. The reason why China is winning is because they're doing a shit ton. They are doing a shit ton. They are building. They are focusing on education, on research. They're building hope. They're solving problems. No problem too big or too small. A pothole fixed. A continental divide bridged with high-speed rail. They do not see, why do I care? They see no problem too small. That's not doing nothing. That's doing everything. The only thing they don't do is Bigfoot around the world bombing random countries because one of their capitalists didn't make 2%. That's why they're winning. They're doing a shit ton. The Belt and Road Initiative, that's not nothing. That's everything. Investing trillions of dollars in making renewable energy the way to generate electricity in the 21st century, that's not nothing. That's everything. When we were talking about climate change 20 years ago, if I had said America is going to do absolutely nothing and China's going to rescue the world, people would have chuckled and been like, there's no fucking way. They pollute like crazy. Now the response is no longer China is not electrifying. The response is, well, China controls all the solar panel manufacturing. So if we buy solar panels, we'll become dependent upon China. Anyway, send another 100,000 troops to the Middle East to protect the oil we're dependent upon. They also don't do, wait, what did you say? They also don't do pedophilic elite cabals. I mean, I'm sure there are evil people in China doing evil fucking shit. It's a country of 1.4 billion people. But what I do know is that they oftentimes kill a lot of capitalists when they commit crimes. And even if you're going to argue, well, they kill those capitalists because they pissed off Xi. When's the last time some capitalist was held accountable in this country? Martin Shkreli, the least charismatic nerd in the history of the planet. And he got in trouble for what? Stealing money from rich people.
Customer numbers are at all-time high. And by the way, the customers we're bringing on, SocGen is a relatively new customer. We just listed Fidelity stablecoin. The reason why I keep talking about institutions is they stick around. They make decisions in years, not chasing frog coins and.
I can't believe it's been almost 5 years of turning into your stream. Thank you for the subscription. Time flies when you're having fun.
X leverage. That just isn't our game. It was never our game. Sometimes I would start to doubt myself because the company's chasing frog coins and 100x leverage. We're in the news and they look great and they're making all this kind of money. That's just not who we are. It's institutional, compliant, and really looking at this on-chain future and saying, how can we help people be successful in terms of tokenization?
So if you were still at the big board and
Chat, new announcement. Guess what, chat? Cutting taxes for the mega rich didn't work.
Weekly jobless comes rising unexpectedly to 231,000. That's against the prior week. 4-week moving average 212, rising to 231 from 209, and I think 212 was expected. Continuing claims, Joe, rising to, it looks like 1.844 million from 1.819. So a little bit of deterioration there on both sides. I'm trying to figure out when that was the least one or the highest one since, and it looks like you got to go back quite a ways here. Anyway, back to certainly last year sometime when there's a couple other alternative data points that we're looking at here. Chicago Fed unemployment estimate. Remember, we don't get the jobs report tomorrow, but they've done a pretty good job, the Chicago Fed, with this this new indicator here, 4.4%, which is pretty much what was expected. Challenger layoffs, though, they were a challenging number here, 108,000. That was the worst January since 2009. UPS and Amazon among those with the big layoff announcements. And, of course, we got ADP private payrolls yesterday at 22,000.
Oh, boy.
Breaking just moments ago, new data showing January was the worst month for job cuts since the 2009 Great Recession. CNN senior reporter Matt Egan is joining me now. What else is this report telling you?
Yeah, Sarah, look, this is a bad way to start 2026, right? Layoffs way up, hiring way down. So Challenger Gray and Christmas reports that during the month of January, U.S.-based employers announced just over 108,000 layoffs. Now, that is roughly double January of 2025 and roughly triple the end of last year. In fact, Sarah, as you mentioned, this is the highest since January 2009 during the Great Financial Crisis. Of course, that was just months after the collapse of Lehman Brothers. Now, as far as where the layoffs are, it's really largely in two sectors, transportation and technology, really leading the way. In fact, two companies, UPS and Amazon, account for roughly 40% of the announced layoffs. Also, healthcare, chemicals, and finance as well. Now, as far as why companies are laying off during the month of January, the leading reason was a loss of contract, market and economic conditions, restructuring as well. Artificial intelligence, as you may have guessed, also playing a role as well. So you put all this together, and again, it really paints a concerning picture about the job market. Now, one thing I do want to note, though, is that we're talking about announced layoffs. Economists put more weight on actual applications for unemployment. And first-time jobless claims, they do remain pretty low, and the unemployment rate, it did stabilize at the end of last year. So we've got to pay close attention to what happens next on that, and hopefully we get some more clarity from the official government jobs report.
Well, the official government jobs report has been tainted by Trump, so we can't trust it.
Which is expected out next week, delayed because of the government shutdown. One other thing to point out, though, here, Sarah, is this was also a bad month for hiring. Challenger says that just about 5,300 announced hiring plans by companies. That was down 13% year over year. In fact, this was the lowest since Challenger started tracking this back in 2009. And remember, Sarah, all of this comes after last year, which was the weakest for the U.S. job market for job growth outside of a recession since 2003 under George W. Bush. And this report at least suggests that there was no big rebound during the month of January.
Yeah, I mean, it's not good. I mean, that's the best way to look at it. It's not good if you are in the market for a job or you've just lost your job. Yeah. It's
or
rough
all those
going
kids who
out
just
there.
got out of college.
Exactly. All right. Thank you so much, Maddie.
Hassan got a global emote. Roblox cheer. Nice. Nice, dude. His small head.
You were thinking about corporate profits and everything else. How's it look to you now with, okay, you had the big beautiful bill kicks in this year with the expensing and all these other things, no tax on all the things that were in there theoretically could be stimulative. Could they not? Deregulation? Is GDP, are there tailwinds behind that we haven't seen in years or not?
Back when I used
Your company's called Bullish. Are you bullish?
Back in, I'm very bullish about our company. And again, I know the backdrop is tough.
I'm not talking about crypto.
I know the backdrop is tough. Like I'm bullish in a bear market. The bull loves the bear. I know it sounds slightly ridiculous, but the opportunities are many. Back when I used to come on the show a lot and spend a lot of time with you guys, I would have these profound macro views that were never nearly as accurate as any of the three of you.
You don't think about it?
I really don't think about it. Like, honestly, when you said New York Stock Exchange right then, this is how much my mindset has changed. I was thinking to myself, oh, he's going to go to their announcement 2 weeks ago that they're going to tokenize stocks onto
Oh my God.
on a blockchain.
totally
so far from
You totally
focused
shifted.
on what's
Yeah.
happening.
I mean, I'm full-time running a great business that's in the absolute right spot in an industry that I think is part of a 25-year growing trend. Like, this tokenization thing is real. It's not just talk.
Can I ask you a different question? Do you think that either all this gets commoditized or everybody merges? Meaning, when you think about who wins this game, is it Robinhood that wins this game? Is it Coinbase that wins this game? I'm not saying that you can't win this game, but and maybe you end up selling into one of these other firms. Do the prediction market folks end up start to tokenize things and get? I mean, do the social media companies start to buy some of these companies? I mean, like, when you really look out far, what does the industry actually look like?
Yeah,
because right now it's super fragmented, actually.
Yeah, it is. Two things I would say. One, you remember my background. I was in the exchange sector during continual massive consolidation, covered extensively on this show. The same thing is going to happen starting right now in crypto. You're going to see massive.
Because of the decline? You think?
Yeah, because of the decline. And what's happened, Becky, is it should have happened a year or two ago, but people were still holding on to this hope that they'd get kind of 2020 valuations. And so we would have conversations with companies, true story, that would say, hey, we have 10 million of revenue, it's not growing, we want $200 million to buy the company. So that dream is going to be over, and people are going to realize they don't have businesses, they have products, and they need to merge up, and they need to have scale, and that is going to happen.
I mean, like, what could you even? The economy, like, it seemingly just happens. Like, it doesn't even, like, look at this. What are these based off of? Now, treasuries are being bought up. Like, based on what? Everything is just swinging around. Everything's a scam. The gold market is a scam. The silver market is a scam. Silver's down 14.65% today, this morning, in an hour. The gold and silver swings. It's like the cryptocurrency shitcoin. 2 weeks ago, it was at $120. That was a week ago. Now it's 72 and falling. Like, what is happening? I hear that, there's some people, some big money, shorting in China after it hit over 100. And it's like, what the fuck is happening? Mike, I don't understand the need for tokenization of everything. Do you know what their claim even is? To me, it just seems like a way to disrupt the transaction process and add a way to put bloat on the infrastructure there for some tech profits. Yes, exactly. It's just adding an unnecessary middleman that wastes compute resources and wastes electricity for something that could be recorded on a piece of paper for no energy. Now, or we could just have a regular database. Like, it's dumb as fuck. The whole, blockchain shit is dumb as fuck. It's a solution in search of a problem. They're like, oh, it's trustless. No, it's not. I mean, how many of you doubted the ability of Visa to properly handle your transactions? Think about that. When you have your credit card, are you worried that Visa is fucking up and, like, mischarging you? It basically never happens. And when it does, it gets instantly rolled back. People could file fraudulent charges on you. We don't need to spend trillions of joules of energy to have a blockchain. It's dumb as fuck. Does it a decentralized banking? No, of course not. Because nobody uses Bitcoins. You have to transact it. You have to convert it to dollars, which means you're selling based on, it's like saying, I'm not going to have any more dollars. I'm just going to have all my savings in silver. Well, the moment you go to the grocery store, you have to sell that silver for dollars. And so how do you do that? Well, now you're trusting brokerage, or you're adding all this unnecessary friction. It's stupid. And then you have to pay transaction fees. Banks are trying to dump data center debt. Banks seek out new buyers for Oracle data center loans. Rare investment grade rating helps attract investment grade rating. Great Recession 2 electronic boogaloo. AAA AI data center debt. The banks are selling it. Wow, this sounds familiar. This sounds fucking familiar. Banks are tapping investors such as insurance companies and private credit funds as they try to find buyers for tens of billions of dollars of loans tied to. This is like, holy shit. This is like Margin Call. This is like the scene. This is Margin Call where they're like, it's like a sales meeting. Yeah. Where he's like, you're gonna ruin your careers today because you're gonna be selling shit to every one of your contacts. It's a fire sale. It has Kevin Spacey in it, which is kind of, can I be honest with you, chat? I was never a Kevin Spacey fan. I found his acting to be terrible. Am I alone on that? Like he always took me out of a movie. He was always Kevin Spacey. I never felt like he was a character. The verisimilitude was zero. It was always creepy Kevin Spacey. I found him obnoxious in every film and every project he was ever in. I just don't like him. Now, you alone on that? Your first time chat is defending Kevin Spacey. Interesting call. I'm just fucking with you. I'm fucking with you, chat.
Thank you all for coming in a little early this morning. I know yesterday was pretty bad, and I wish I could say that today's going to be less so, but that isn't going to be the case. Now, I'm supposed to read this statement to you all here, but why don't you just read it on your own time, and I'll just tell you what the fuck's going on here. I've been here all night, meeting with the executive committee, and the decision has been made to unwind a considerable portion of the firm's holdings in several key asset classes. The crux of it is, in the firm's thinking, the party's over as of this morning. There's going to be considerable turmoil in the markets for the foreseeable future, and they believe it is better that this turmoil begin with us. As a result, the firm has decided to liquidate its majority position of fixed income MBS today. These are your packets. You will see what accounts you're responsible for today. I'm sure it hasn't taken you long to understand the implications of this sale on your relationships with your counterparties and, as a result, on your careers. I have expressed this reality to the executive committee, and they understand. As a result, if you achieve a 93% sale of your assets, you will receive a $1.4 million one-off bonus. If the floor as a whole achieves a 93% sale, you will get an additional $1.3 million apiece. For those of you who've never been through this before, this is what the beginning of a fire sale looks like. I cannot begin to tell you how important the first hour and a half is going to be. I want you to hit every bite you can find. Dealers, brokers, clients, your mother if she's buying. And no swaps. It's outgoing only. Obviously, this is not going down the way that any of us would have hoped, but...
The most unrealistic part of this is when they're like, oh man, all of you guys, all you salesmen, you're gonna be blacklisted from the industry, and we're so sorry to do that, but you're gonna get 2.6 million on the way out. If you know anybody who's a Wall Street guy, if you sell people bullshit, if you sold people dog shit in a brown paper bag and you successfully did it, everyone would be beating down your door to hire you. They would be like, you sold? Oh my God, you were one of the people that started the financial crisis by selling shit that you knew was toxic? Please work for us. You sold absolute dog shit and caused the Great Recession? Please run my company.
The ground is shifting below our feet, and apparently there's no other way out.
Kevin Spacey in this movie is supposed to be the like regretful capitalist, the like banality of evil guy who's like, oh, I'm doing it, but it's wrong, and I'm so conflicted. Jeremy Irons is the star of this movie. Jeremy Irons is the star of this movie by far. He has this like reptilian cunning. I actually think like I had this debate with a few friends a couple months ago about the difference between being intelligent and cunning. I was specifically saying someone that we a mutual of our that we hate, mutual enemy, is not intelligent. They were arguing that they were intelligent. I was saying no, they're not intelligent. They're just cunning. They're manipulative. And I think Jeremy Irons in this movie is exactly that type of person, which is he's dumb as fuck, but he's got like superhuman cunning, and he knows how to read people, and he knows how to manipulate people for his own advantage. He's like the quintessential manager. That's what we're really seeing, chat. We're seeing the banks are like, the music stops. Try to sell the, it's time to grab a chair. At least $56 billion worth of data center construction loans supported by the software company's future leases as part of its $300 billion deal with OpenAI have been given investment grade ratings. Oh my God. I can't believe that Barack Obama came into office off the Great Recession and they didn't even reform the corrupt credit rating agencies. They're just as corrupt as ever. Big Short too. Holy fucking hell.
Any appointment they'll give me the whole morning gets to hell.
Well, we don't understand.
Well, the delinquency rates.
You're convinced the underlying...
That is our opinion, yes.
Practice.
You think
I
we
mean,
do
you're giving
here
these
all
loans
day.
to anybody with a credit score and a pulse.
Excuse me, sir, what do you think we do here all day?
I'm not sure. That's right.
We recheck?
If these
Recheck
mortgage
again?
bonds are so stable, if they are so
Perhaps you could
solid,
check your-
have you ever refused
We
to
stand
rate
behind. We
Georgia?
stand behind
Have
that.
you ever refused any of these bonds? Can we see the paperwork?
Oh, I'm under no obligation to share that information with you,
Just
whoever you
answer
might
the
be.
question. Can you name one time in the past and you didn't give the bank the AAA percentage they wanted?
If we don't work with, they will go to our competitor. Not our fault. Simply the way the world works.
They're selling ratings for fees. Afford to make. How'd your
No,
boss
I am
do
not
on the
kidding
IPO?
you.
How'd your,
What?
how'd your
I am
boss
not
do?
in the habit of kidding.
Is that the angle you're taking? So now anyone
you
who has
two
a
obviously
boss
just work for yourselves,
can't be held
then.
responsible for doing shitty and illegal things.
No, I am not for Mr. Baum. I am not. And I wonder what your incentives might be. Is it maybe in your best interest to have the ratings change? How many credits do you...
Now, that's exactly the problem. That's actually a really good point she made, which is you can't depend upon private rating agencies. You know, chat, I miss having libertarian debates. Do you guys miss libertarian debates? Libertarians used to be like, in the 2005, 2006 era, they'd be like, listen, we don't need to have government regulation. We'll just have private ratings. I mean, everyone's saying no, and you're right. They all became fascist, by the way. $300 billion deal with OpenAI have been given investment grade ratings. I mean, this is absolutely insane. This is absolutely insane. We have a new industry that has no track record of making any good profit, spending tens of billions, if not trillions of dollars on credit. And they're saying, yep, that's investment grade. That's investment grade. These ratings, which are relatively rare for infrastructure construction loans, have allowed banks to attract a much broader base of investors than usual for project finance debt. We're all going to die. We're all going to die. Oh my God, they did another Great Recession again? Well, banks have mostly tended to fund project finance loans for the construction of toll roads and airports themselves. The massive deal sizes of recent data center projects have overwhelmed this source of demand, leaving tech giants keen to find new sources of capital. Oh my God. We basically tapped every single project finance bank possible, but there are only so many banks, said a banker familiar with Oracle's fundraising. Banks will have to offload that risk if they want to keep lending. This is literally the exact same shit as what caused the Great Recession. This is the exact same shit. Getting investment grade ratings for data center construction loans was transformational as it opens up a new pool of institutional money that previously saw these assets, which are not yet operational, as too risky, the banker said. Initial discussions with credit rating agencies began 2 years ago, the banker added.
Hey, there's a bubble.
How do you know?
Trust me, call Venet, buy 50 million in swaps on the MBS. What do we got? Garibaldi 4 triple B.
Mark, you sure?
Yeah, it's time to call bullshit.
Bullshit on what?
Every fucking thing. Front point.
Is this America's angriest hedge fund?
All right, listen, I got one last question for you. How are you fucking us?
There's a nice way to say that, Vinny.
I'm serious. We'll buy your swaps, but only if you say how you're fucking us.
I'm not fucking you, Vinny. I'm kissing you. I'm looking deep into your eyes as I make love to you, Vinny. I'm handing you the deal of the century on a fucking platter. What do I get out of it? Easy. I got a $20 million a month negative carry. I got bosses trying to pull the plug because they think I'm out of my fucking mind. All right? We make this trade, those problems aren't so big anymore. And sure, swaps are a dark market, so I set the price. Whatever price I want. And when you come for the payday, I'm gonna rip your eyes out. I'm gonna make a fortune. But the good news is, Vinny, you're not gonna care because you're gonna make so much fucking money. That's what I get out of it. Wanna know what you get out of it? You get the ice cream, the hot fudge, the banana, and the nuts. Right now I get the sprinkles, and yeah, if this goes through, I get the cherry. But you get the sundae, Vinny. You get the sundae.
All right, I buy that. Thank you.
So what do you say? You want me to make you a market?
Yeah, we'll take 50 million. Garibaldi 4, triple B.
Sharpen your pencils, I'll get the paperwork ready.
Fuck you too.
The attempts to find buyers for the debt come amid a rapid increase in debt issuance by big tech companies, with half of the 10 largest borrowers in the U.S. investment-grade bond market set to be so-called hyperscalers by 2030. Investor concerns have been growing about Oracle's aggressive commitment to AI spending as it bids to compete with rival tech's debt pile. The software company on Monday separately raised another $25 billion in the bond market after pledging to preserve its investment-grade rating by keeping its debt load in check, while it also reassured debt investors with plans to issue new equity, which only works if people buy the stock. The ratings on the data center loans cover Oracle's leases on $38 billion of data center facilities being built in Texas and Wisconsin, as well as $18 billion data center campus in New Mexico, which is backed by Blue Owl Capital. According to people familiar with the efforts, both loans are being marketed to investors. While receiving a credit rating during construction had been extremely rare in the data center space, it was now becoming a common. We're actually going to die. We're actually going to die. We're actually going to die. Almost all large data center deals are trying to get a credit rating now, she added. This is, okay, how do I explain it? Basically, data centers in the past did not get good credit ratings on construction loans because that was considered extremely risky. But now, because they haven't like proven their income and they haven't proven their profitability. So now what's happening is extremely speculative AI building is being issued investment grade ratings on their debt when there's no fucking income to support it. And all the banks are, lending as much as they fucking can. They're out of capacity to lend. So they're now selling their loans to other investors to get them off their balance sheets, which is exactly what happened in the Great Recession with mortgage loans. They're doing the same exact shit, but with AI. More than a dozen banks have lent against Oracle's long-term lease commitment in both transactions, which were priced at 2.5 percentage points above the secured overnight financing rate. The people said borrowing costs for newer Oracle-linked data center projects have widened to 3 to 4.5 percentage points above SOFR, levels that are closer to junk-related debt. Oh my God, they're already fucked. Holy shit, we're all gonna die. What the fuck? Some investors are hesitating about whether to purchase the two Oracle-backed syndicated loans currently in the market in the anticipation of higher returns in the future. There's the elephant in the room. Is there sufficient appetite to invest in a paper which is less than what it might be coming out in 2 weeks' time? A second investor who has purchased other bonds backed by data center projects said banks were nervous about their increasing exposure to the AI financing boom and were seeking ways to offload the debt they had agreed to provide. That's a totally different story than earlier in the article. You said they were unloading so they can loan more. Now you're saying they're unloading because they're scared about exposure? That's a completely different story. You're contradicting. Oh, no. To do so, they had to offer investors higher interest rates on the deals than expected. JP Morgan and MUFG, which are leading the financing of the data center project in Texas and Wisconsin, declined to comment. Stack Infrastructure, which is responsible for the data center development in New Mexico, confirmed that the transactions were currently in the syndication phase, had received investment-grade credit ratings. Stack views the syndication as progressing as expected with expected market terms, it said. Oracle said the financing for the two data center projects was secured at market standard rates, progressing through final syndication on schedule and consistent with investment grade deals. Okay, this explains why Oracle is starting to crash. Does this have any connection to why Trump wants interest rate cut? Well, absolutely. JP Morgan down on the day. I don't know what's the ticker for JP. What's the ticker for JP Morgan? JPM. I am like, yeah. Okay. God damn, it's up so much, huh? Jesus Christ. Look at these. Look at this. Yeah, guys. It's good when investment banks massively spike in 1 year over a speculative market that has no fucking track record of actually being profitable. This has never happened before. God. Dow dropped 600 points. NASDAQ craters for third day as stock sell-off gains steam. Qualcomm came under pressure, sliding 7% after posting a weaker than expected forecast because of the global memory shortage. Elsewhere, the sell-off in the cryptocurrency market continued to gain steam as Bitcoin fell below $67,000 after earlier years sinking below $70,000, which is considered a key support level. The metals price is snapping a 2-day rebound and dropping as much as 16%. Bad news for the labor market. U.S. banks expect victory in capital requirements as Trump regulators revamp rules. I'm sorry for just sitting here in like shocked silence. I'm trying not to be like, I want Trump to fail, therefore this is happening. I'm trying to think of like counter arguments. Aiming to cut red tape that Trump's agency picks say is hurting the U.S. economy, they are working on the most sweeping overhaul of U.S. capital rules since the global financial crisis of 2008. In addition to narrowing the Basel Endgame capital hikes, which sparked unprecedented pushback from Wall Street banks, the Fed plans to reduce the capital surcharge levied on risky global banks, shrink a key leverage constraint, and overhaul annual tests that gauge whether lenders can withstand an economic shock. I don't know what to say. I'm doing the worm. I'm going XQC style on it. All right, to explain it for normies. At the same time that banks are now worried, like they're selling their AI data center loans to everyone they can find because they've maxed out the amount of loans they could do. They're getting the credit rating agencies to value AI construction loan debt as the same as sovereign debt, meaning high investment grade ratings. And while that is happening, Trump is saying, oh, you don't have to make sure the big banks are stable in case that, you know, there's a dip in the market and you can leverage more, meaning you could borrow more money to invest with. He's cutting back all the regulations that went into place after the Great Recession in order to prevent a major financial crisis again. At the same time that banks are making the huge risky loans to AI data centers. This is 2026. This is 1926. This is 1926 brain. This is an absolute, I mean, I can't even, the country's largest lenders, which have lobbied hard for the long-sought review, are optimistic that the changes combined will result in their capital levels remaining flat or falling. The expected outcome, reported here for the first time, marks a dramatic turnaround for the industry, which faced a 19% hike in 2023 under the draft Basel capital rules, which proposed changes to how banks gauge lending and trading risks. Big banks have long complained that capital rules are excessive and poorly calibrated, and that some of the cash would be better served the economy through lending. They also argue that they weathered COVID-19 economic shock just fine, as the government did unprecedented bailouts to everybody. They handed everyone massive checks. They gave the rich huge free money. They massively inflated everything. They gave everybody cash. They put money in people's bank accounts. They gave rich people $1 million forgivable loans. Critics say efforts to chip away at the capital regime are dangerous and could leave the industry vulnerable at a time when the outlook for the U.S. economy is growing cloudy. With big banks including JP Morgan Chase, Bank of America, and Citigroup together holding $1 trillion in capital, even a small dip could free up billions of dollars for lending, trading, dividends, and share buybacks. Oh my God. Oh my God.
Hey, there's a bubble.
How do you know?
Trust me, call Venet, buy 50 million in swaps on the MBS. What do we got? Garibaldi 4 triple B.
We're going to see the most aggressive streamlining or easing of bank regulations that we've seen certainly since Dodd-Frank and probably sometime before that, said Ian Katz, managing director at Capital Alpha Partners, referring to the landmark 2010 post-crisis law that overhauled bank rules. Fed's new regulatory chief, Michelle Baumann, who is leading the overhaul. Who the fuck is Michelle Baumann? She remained active in politics as chair of Republicans Abroad UK. She returned to the U.S., joining the Farmers and Drovers Bank, her family's bank. As vice president, where she served as director, compliance officer, and trust officer. She was nominated by Kansas Governor Sam Brownback. Okay, so we have one of the most psychotic neoliberal market fundamentalists is going to be in charge of rewriting the rules. She was appointed by Trump. In 2025, Baumann was confirmed as vice chair for supervision by the Senate with a 48-46 vote. Oh my God. The only way this works out. So like, let's say, okay, Mike, how could you be wrong? Let's think about how we could be wrong that this is a bubble. AI is actually it. It does replace significantly all white collar work. And AI companies make trillions as every company replaces skilled professional labor with AI. And they're so flooded with, and so everybody's paying $500 a month to AI companies because we're so dependent on AI. That's how it works. That's how this works. That's how this wins. That's the world that they're saying is going to happen. Not only are they saying that's going to happen, they're saying it's very likely to happen. Like it's very low risk. No, that's gonna happen, they're saying. They're certain of it. It's like buying debt from the US federal government. They're that sure. America's largest banks are the strongest in the world, said Amanda Eversole, CEO of the Financial Services Forum, which represents the country's 8 biggest banks. Modernizing capital rules will let them put that strength to work, fueling growth for consumers, small businesses, and the economy. As soon as somebody says the word small business, hold to your fucking wallet because they're scamming you. That's what I call one of the biggest red flags. Jesus Christ. To get there, regulators are expected to abandon a dual stack that would have required banks to comply with the stricter of 2 methods for measuring their risk capital, which penalized banks with large trading businesses, and to ease the requirement to put capital aside for operational risks like cyber attacks or lawsuits, 2 of the people said. Capital reductions could then come as the Fed updates the GSIB surcharge to better account for economic growth, and as regulators tailor the enhanced supplementary leverage ratio, a risk-blind capital safety net, to each individual bank, 3 of the sources said. After the industry sued the Fed in December, the central bank is working to make its stress tests, which partially determine big lenders' capital buffers, more transparent, likely helping them to optimize their results. However, regulatory discussions are ongoing, and that Democrats on the Fed board may oppose changes that are too favorable to the industry. Washington-based group Better Markets, which advocates for tougher financial rules, estimates that the banking system capital could fall by $200 billion if the industry secures all the relief it's been pushing for. It's huge and extremely consequential, said Phil Basil, director of economic growth and financial stability at Better Markets. It's going to take a lot less to bring down a big bank. Are they trying to dynamite America? Are they actually trying? Are they actually trying to destroy America? Josh Shapiro is doing rat fuck activities again. This proposal would take $4.6 billion out of the rainy day fund, which would be over half of what currently exists in the funds. This is dangerous and puts Pennsylvania at risk of a potential fiscal emergency. Yeah, I mean, he's a Republican. That's a Republican move. Republicans always try to get rid of any state's savings or rainy day funds. That's like step 1 of being a Republican. Josh Shapiro wants more data centers, but they need to bring their own power. So they're what? They're going to rebuild the coal plants in PA? Shapiro said Tuesday during his annual budget address in Harrisburg, said the U.S. needs to develop these facilities or risk control by communist China. But the growth of data centers has increased air pollution and water scarcity locally and led to rising electricity prices for consumers throughout the country. Shapiro said Pennsylvania is the 2nd largest energy producer in the country, having generated 240 million megawatts last year. This, along with the state's higher education resources, makes it poised to house more facilities. We have leading researchers in AI and machine learning at Penn State, Carnegie Mellon University, Penn, and elsewhere. We have the talent, and we're already investing in the workforce needed to build, maintain, and operate these facilities. Shapiro announced the creation of the Governor's Responsible Infrastructure Development Standards, or GRID. Along with hiring local residents, he wants data center developers to generate their own power. Well, I mean, I know what this means. I already heard about this. One of Pennsylvania's billionaires is trying to buy up decommissioned coal plants to locate data centers. So Shapiro is basically trying to encourage data centers to refire coal plants. Without giving details, he said there would be strict transparency standards and direct community engagement, along with environmental protection and water conservation. If companies adhere to these principles, they will unlock benefits from the Commonwealth, including speed and certainty in permitting and available tax credits. Trump administration used his mascot called Coley to push dirtiest fossil fuel. It's AI slop. The Surface Mining and Reclamation Act of 1977 established a national framework to ensure coal mining supports America's energy needs while protecting communities and restoring landscapes shaped by earlier areas of development. POTUS made it a top priority for the interior to unleash beautiful, clean coal, and Ozmir is leading the charge. I mean, I have so much to say. I have so much to say, and I don't know how to. There's like I'm gonna lose my voice from talking too much. I'm gonna lose my voice from talking too much. Sometimes people use the term fossil fuels, and they kind of lump them all together, and that's not true. Okay, like all fossil fuels. I'm not saying this because I'm a natural gas supporter. What I'm trying to explain to everybody is that it's not that natural gas is good. It's that coal is a 19th century technology. And it's because of the nature of what coal is. Natural gas is methane, which is the simplest organic molecule. Whereas coal is an extremely long hydrocarbon chain. What does that mean? It means that when you burn natural gas, it's incredibly predictable. So much so that we have now used what are called dual cycle turbines. What does that mean? Okay, a dual cycle turbine gets electricity from thermal expansion of burning natural gas, as well as the heat being used to boil water and spin turbines. The efficiency of burning natural gas, transforming natural gas stored chemical energy into electricity, is extremely high. So it's incredibly efficient, and what comes out of a smokestack of a natural gas plant is primarily carbon dioxide and water. Okay, now carbon dioxide is not good for the environment, you know, in general. You know, if you're outside of a natural gas plant, you're not gonna get the same level of risk as being outside of a coal plant. Coal plants spew. First of all, their ash is incredibly toxic. I've been like, as a Pennsylvanian, I've had to deal with this for literally decades. The second is they can't use thermal expansion because coal is so full of impurities. So they can't reliably predict, you know, the expansion of the combustion products. And there's so much like bad shit and coal smoke that it destroys any kind of dual cycle machinery. So it doesn't exist. So burning coal also produces a lot more pollution, like dangerous pollution, like radioactivity, acids, sulfur dioxides. It is so fucking bad for you. It gives you cancer and asthma. Not only that, it puts out much more carbon dioxide per joule of energy created. And that's not even getting into the mining. The mining of coal is significantly more impactful and damaging than the drilling for natural gas, even with fracking. So when somebody's drilling for gas, even fracked gas, there's a relatively minimal surface impact when compared to coal, where the current practice is open top pit mining. To say this is bad is to undersell the word bad. It's catastrophically bad. And on top of all of this, it's expensive! It's fucking expensive! So mining is dangerous, destroys the environment, it's less efficient, it pollutes horribly, and it costs more. I actually think people that are promoting coal at this point in human history should probably be in prison. Actually, not probably, definitely. Where can I find the document Mike was reading? You mean right now? Or are you talking about something else? Talking about this? If you're talking about right now, I'm saying shit out of my brain. I'm not reading anything. Did you see that China commercialized a supercritical CO2 generator that uses waste heat from steel plants? Yeah. 10 House Democrats joined the GOP and voted to require the Secretary of the Interior to repeal all regulations limiting mining. Why is Moskowitz in there? Isn't his district like super blue? I mean, maybe it's changing because of like all the, you know, Cubans going fascist, but is there like, do they not have the data? Like Evie Wasserman Schultz. Okay, so I guess they move things around with the fucking, I guess they renumbered. I mean, in 2024, he still won by 5. That district is probably like D plus 15 normally. How the fuck is this guy? How the fuck is this rat in office? How the fuck is this rat in office? Jesus fucking Christ. Hey, guess who's not on here anymore, chat? MTG or MGP or whatever. Marie Glustin concentration camp Perez. I guess she got scared. She's not giving them any votes anymore. She's intimidated. We scared her. Everybody hates her guts. So now she's... Oh, wait, never mind. Is that her? Oh, fuck. Oh, never mind. Oh, God. Oh, she's right there. Why am I blind? These are everybody who I fucking hate. Oh, she's right there. These are and by the way, there's even worse people. I mean, this is... My name is Oliver Larkin, and I am primarying Jared Moskowitz. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes, we've got to help this man. We have got to help this man. I don't even know what to say anymore, chat. Like, I didn't even plan on talking about the markets this morning, but it's just so bad.
Software stocks have become ground zero for investors' anxiety over the possible disruption coming from AI. The software sector as a whole has lost about 30% of its value in just the last 3 months, with those losses accelerating this week, even despite some relatively strong earnings from such as Salesforce.com, such as Microsoft. Now, the main concern here is that either free or cheap coding tools being rolled out by the likes of Anthropic through its Claude service may disrupt a lot of paid-for software applications and even infrastructure software. People are being able to code and replace a lot of the
Oliver literally said we need to finish Reconstruction. He's a fucking real one. I mean,
that they now use, or at least the fear is that they will be able to do that simply by...
Looks like the total estimated data center construction loan market is valued at $230 billion. That's a lot, but is it enough to break the entire economy? Or is it that the first domino, which would lead into a huge drop in value of tech stocks, which then leads to a ripple throughout? Exactly. Not only that, the banks are over-levered. So there would be a financial crisis.
Asking Claude to create something
similar
like that.
to
now,
the
one of the reasons the
financial
damage has been so severe to software stocks is that previously, for many, many years, it was such a great business. Investors loved the very long-term recurring revenues that came from...
I'm not telling you guys to do anything financially. I don't know what the answer is financially. I know it has a long track record of working. What has a long track record of working is buying index funds. You know, I don't know if that's a good idea now or if it's not a good idea. I don't know if that worked because the American economy was the world's global reserve currency and the largest economy in the center of capitalism. So buying index funds on U.S. stocks worked. There's no guarantee that's going to work in the future. There's no guarantee that it won't.
Companies and individuals paying for long-term licenses based on how many employees were using these tools. Now, one of the results here is that many of these large software stocks are starting to look very inexpensive relative to their own history, if in fact current levels of revenue and cash flow and earnings can hold up. That, of course, is the big question. Right now, all the excitement in AI is mostly in Alphabet, which is seen as having a lead in its large language model and its consumer monetization strategy, as well as, of course, the chips, in particular the memory chips right now that are going to be needed for this build out. Finally, many software companies felt as if their valuations kind of cushioned by the possibility down the road that they could be acquired, that private equity could buy these companies because of their recurring cash flow. Now, that's now under doubt because a lot of the private capital companies are being hurt. So right now, it's a matter of a contrarian bet, and when has become cheap enough for investors with a long-term time horizon to perhaps wade into this area.
Just put everything in stocks. They got down, money prints, and you're bailed out anyway. I mean, that's certainly the moral hazard that everybody's operating under. Like, that's the moral hazard that everybody's operating under. All right, chat, let's take a moment to yell at Ezra Klein. I'll be right back.
Just a reminder, when people like ask me, what is your problem with Ezra Klein's opinion?
Okay. Can I offer one up? Him saying, for example, a few months ago that
Charlie Kirk?
No, well, that was bad. But also that was bad. But that Mary Gluesenkamp-Perez and Jared Golden should have as much say in the future of the Democratic Party as Zohran Mamdani and Bernie Sanders. Those two absolutely horrific Democrats voted for an increase in ICE funding after the Renee Good shooting. And then both Golden and Gluesenkamp-Perez, they weren't shamed like Swazi was into changing it, just voted for the continuing resolution for DHS
Golden,
funding.
to be fair, Jared Golden, he's retiring.
Oh, so he can't be the future of the Democratic Party, right? Because he's not going to even be in Congress anymore. It's a little weird.
But it could be at Welcome Fest 2026.
And Glusenkamp, I mean, God knows where she's going to be in 6 months. But this is what I find fascinating. And I think that I want you to try and ignore what his opinion actually is in this, because it's obviously blinkered. But think about how it was formed.
Mm-hmm.
This was from, when was this?
6 months ago.
6 months ago, right? And so just ask yourself more than 6 months ago. This is July of 2025, but 7 months, 8 months. Ask yourself, how was this opinion formed?
I think I should say, before I start this episode, where I am on the Epstein story. If you force me to give you my best guess, given what we know, I think this guy had a lot of very powerful friends. I think this guy was a predator and a pedophile on an extraordinary scale. And I think those sides of his life were mostly separate. I don't think there is a list of bold-faced names somewhere. The reason I don't think there's a list is there's been a lot of big law firms hunting for cases here. There is a lot of money to be made in suing anyone connected to Epstein.
No.
Very, very powerful firms, to say nothing of big media organizations, firms and organizations that have the money to hire the best investigators, the best journalists. They're just not finding it. Does that explain everything? No. Does it resolve everything? No. Does a plea deal Epstein got in Florida look weirdly sweet? Yeah, it does. Yeah. Does Epstein's death seem weird to me? It does. There is a remainder, a remnant. They'll probably never be resolved.
I am going to combust.
Okay. All right. Just to look at that video. Okay.
Remainder, a remnant.
It just occurred to me the other day. I don't know where this came up, and it occurred to me, like, why did you form that? Like, okay, I get the thing, like, there's lawyers been looking and this and that, but of course all this stuff has been under wraps and whatnot.
The lawyers of the press would have found it is a crazy.
It's so funny that Hassan was like, I can't hate Ezra Klein. And I'm like, everybody's like, at the moment that every single person in the entire internet and world is realizing that Ezra Klein is a totally evil piece of shit and we all hate his guts. That's what Hassan's like, I just can't hate him. He's so polite. What the fuck is wrong with you?
Thing to say in America in 2025.
Absolutely. In fact, I mean, we now have evidence that, like, no, they specifically did not. But I'm most interested in the idea of, like, how you could make an assessment that there were two separate worlds and that there was no crossover between the sex trafficking and these very powerful network of people that, like, how could you... All the other stuff I could see, okay, how come it hasn't come out? It's just like a normal skepticism. But to think that these are siloed in that way, I feel like somebody would have to say to you, you know, I was close with Jeffrey Epstein, but you can believe me, I was never involved in any of that child. I had no idea. Someone could say that to you, but I don't know who could have said something like that to you. Oh, and then I remembered this debate on the All In podcast. David Sachs and the All In guys, the All In guy and David Sachs were on one side, and then Ezra Klein was on the other side.
Oh, yeah. Mike, I don't normally do this, but I wanted you to figured you want to see Zohran endorsing Kathy Hochul. Well, if you look at my title, you'll see Zohran endorses Hochul. Or Hochul, whatever her fucking name is already there. I think it's a very big mistake. And this is something that I've been concerned about for a while, which is there is a faction of the DSA that is to my right, significantly to my right. And it stinks like Democratic Party consultant brain. And I think associating yourself with Hochul is just, I know why he's doing it, which is he thinks the opposition isn't going to win. But it is pretty fucking gross to, like, basically head off progressive opposition to multiple establishment Democrats. And this is the problem that I've continued to see with him, which is he likes to give up his leverage, which is exactly the problem we have with Democrats in general. He gives up his leverage. He sells himself too cheap in exchange for what? Promises? And every time that you do something in politics where you're holding an IOU and they get the thing, you just got scammed. Unless you're working with somebody who is an ideological ally who's going to be with you through thick and thin. Every time you do a transaction where you hold an IOU and they get what they want right up front, you just got fucking scammed. So is it naivete or is it incompetence? Or is it even worse than that, which is complicity? Did you just discover there's going to be a recession? I have been skeptical of this economy for 2 years, which, you know, I've called the last 3, you know, I've called the last 8 recessions of the last 2 or whatever the fuck this saying is. And like, you know, until I actually see Hochul, like, I don't know, raise taxes on billionaires, I wouldn't be endorsing her. That's fucking crazy. I would say to her, hey, I'd love to help you. I will endorse you for re-election at the signing ceremony of the billionaire tax increase. Instead of like endorsing someone and then go, we disagree on the most important issues. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? So I strongly disagree with that strategy.
With, of all people,
our boy
Larry Summers.
Stock market numbers. So you need to add to that.
Now, look, listen, showing up, I've been on a podcast with 20 people.
I mean, isn't this just point blank corruption? Like, what the fuck is this? We'll be unveiling Trump RX, a state-of-the-art website for American consumers to purchase low-cost prescription drugs. Is this privately owned by Trump, or is this a government website? And if it's private, why are you using the press secretary account to announce it? What the fuck? This is like Pakistan level shit. It's a government.gov site. Okay, Jesus Christ. Chatters answered me privately, and then it's government. And then it's private, then it's government. Which is it? I trusted a chatter. Every time you trust a chatter, you instantly have to delete.
Out now, you know, the Jubilee thing. I have no doubt that these are the why.
Trump RX is a public-private partnership functioning as a government-run website that directs consumers to private pharmaceutical manufacturers for discounted, out-of-pocket, direct-to-consumer drug sales. But how do you get prescriptions? Like, what?
That Ezra swims in.
I'm sorry, but it's not. Larry Summers, I don't think, is the right theory. Reid Hoffman is the right theory.
I mean,
because of his connections to Epstein and Abundance being their pet project together.
It could very well be, but the point being, whether it's probably both.
Sure.
And the point is that this again is what informs his worldview on these things, and he is going to maintain now, probably less so now. I don't think Larry Summers has much of a future in this stuff. Let's hope. But this is where, you know, you get perspectives on what the Democratic Party should do. Again, this goes back to like, he's not part of a group. He's just talking about it is the sensible thing to do.
That's how the world works.
To open up the door to anti-abortion people as being celebrated in the Democratic Party, or to perceive Charlie Kirk as doing politics the right way, or to make this pronouncement about like these groups didn't combine. But you know what? It may be like it's irrelevant whether Larry Summers was. I mean, I shouldn't say irrelevant, but whether Larry Summers was involved in.
Hey! I think I had a debate with Sam, didn't I? Where I was like, I don't know. I had a debate with Sam where I specifically said Larry Summers. Maybe, I don't know. One of you guys might have to find it, but I called into Sam like back in 2020 prior to the election, and I was like, I'm really concerned about Larry Summers being involved
in child trafficking or is in some instances like not the point as to what was going on in a world where all of these people like skirting above the rules and have a completely different perspective on how the world operates.
I was in college when I heard about Epstein and the Lolita Express because it came out in the context of Hillary Clinton versus Barack Obama's primary thing. So all these guys that have been messaging him after that, like Elon, for instance, saying like, hey, can I one of the wildest parties? Or there's Jason Calacanis who was on that great tariff debate too, unless I'm mistaken. Or no, David Sachs was. But in this all-in sort of circle. Calacanis has some some a bunch of emails with Epstein about Bitcoin. Like,
but okay. So but if Ezra were to admit that Epstein's sex trafficking was a part of a larger part of him being essentially a elite fixer and connector of the billionaires and capitalists throughout the world connected to.
Ladies and gentlemen, the crypto president.
You may even get tired of winning, and you'll say, please, please, it's too much winning. We can't take it anymore. Mr. President, it's too much. And I'll say, no, it isn't. We have to keep winning.
Did you see the connections Epstein had with Bobby Kotick pushing microtransactions in video games? Yes, I did see that. You know who doesn't care about that? Asmongold. You know, he's supposed. That's the thing that really pisses me off about the right-wing grifters. Is it'd be one thing if they were actually populist right-wing grifters and they like called out shit like this, but they're just fucking partisan shills. How's Bitcoin? What's the prices looking like? NASDAQ craters for a third day as stock sell-off gains steam. Oh no. Wow. 8% down on Bitcoin. Like the speed and ferocity of this decline is nuts. Okay, so there is some buying pressure, but it opened near, you know, and it's just gone. It's just a solid red candle selling through. Tiny wick on the bottom. The low of the day was 66,625.40 cents. Pretty bearish stuff, folks. I can't believe 3 months ago it was at 120K. Now it's at 67. Down 50% since October. That's fucking nuts. A lot of resistance at 67,000. Yeah. Yeah. If it breaks through 67,000 and holds below that, I mean, that's crazy. I mean, I told you 69,000 was the number to look at. So we're already below that.
To intelligence networks and also big banks and wealthy financiers and arms dealing and all of that kind of stuff, he would have to implicate his benefactor or business associate, Reid Hoffman, in wrongdoing. And also he would have to...
6-7. Did you guys see? Oh, that's something I didn't even... Did you guys notice that Kamala Harris changed her name of her account to Headquarters 67? I didn't even notice it until chatters, like repliers to what I quote tweeted it. I was like, did she sell her the account or something and remove her name so the buyer wouldn't have to be associated with her directly anymore? And people were like, Mike, they renamed it 6-7. This stinks like organizer memes. This stinks like organizer memes.
Admit that the system is fundamentally broken and undemocratic. When you bring up like where Epstein came up and when it was relative to the Clintons, there's a whole rotted Democratic Party core that chose to bury that sort of like attack and the populist appeal that came with it to maintain like these actual systems as opposed to challenging them. They punted on this story deliberately, and Ezra Klein represents that class.
Neera Tanden from the Clinton orbit, which is that's a shorthand for who's been doing this. Neera Tanden put Larry Summers on Project 2029.
Yeah.
And by the way, she's still like invited regularly to talk about Democratic politics. Like the idea that we've moved on from this.
On CNN, we were on the same side on that panel. I saw her tweeting positively about Bernie Sanders yesterday,
yeah,
which is just
enough.
Like, now.
Amen.
Not enough.
She said amen, brother. I don't think Bernie would consider you guys bros, but
this element of like, you know, they didn't overlap. Well, they did to Jeffrey because he had pictures of all these guys all over everywhere for all of his victims to see, so that when they thought, and this is testimony, this is something that I've been saying for like a decade at this point about this, but to see FBI agents say like, yeah, he actually used this as a sort of signal to these women or young girls that, hey, I'm connected. You can't go out. You can't go outside the lines. You can't tell those to anyone because guess what? There's a picture of Bill Clinton, and guess what? He just was on my plane, and all these other, Steven Pinker, all these other people that like they might say like, oh, you know, I didn't have anything to do with that. If you had anything to do with this guy beyond the like 2003, wasn't that the original like story? Whenever the story came out, like you're suspicious. It's a huge problem. It actually destroys your credibility.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we've spoken about this before about how the Democrats ring hollow when they talk about democracy and how that message has essentially completely failed to yield them anything more than Biden winning in 2020 and temporarily stopping the bleeding of this Trump era. When you're not committed to democracy internally, whether it's like pursuing a genocidal policy that less than 10% of your base approves of by sending money to Israel, whether it's we are not going to
not even 10%, it's like 7%. Can we take a second to laugh at your old enemies? Not enough people have read The State and Revolution, and it shows. The odds that Vosh has actually read State and Revolution are approximately 0%. 0%.
Hold any primary like debate about this elderly candidate that has very low approval ratings. We're going to shut out that entire process and ensure that we move forward with this candidate, regardless of this mass discontent or unease within the party. But it's even bigger than that. Protecting a network of like undemocratic elite, like an elite cabal largely, right, throughout the world that is making these kinds of decisions and circumventing democracy. We saw that Peter Thiel, Jeffrey Epstein exchange, where they talk about building a new world order based on breaking down democratic institutions and factionalizing people. That is part of why people don't genuinely believe that you are representing democracy, and that you're going to be, because you have to actually respond democratically to what people are asking.
Well, except, ladies and gentlemen, they don't. The Democratic Party is anti-democratic. It has been my entire life. They despise you. They despise their base. Look at the super delegates that lined up behind Hillary Clinton in 2016. Look at the way that Barack Obama moved and the Democratic Party establishment moved in 2020 to sow doubt in the fact that Bernie Sanders could ever win, pledged to do a disputed convention, drop out in a coordinated fashion to endorse Joe Biden when it was clear he didn't have the mental fitness or physical fitness to be president for 8 years. They have done everything they can to sabotage progressives. They have worked with Republicans to gerrymander their own states, like against them. And the evidence has been clear for a very long time. I don't know what to tell you.
Right now, all the Western governments are saying, well, there's not enough to actually like prosecute anyone based on all this. That's not really the question. Isn't whether the law should get involved. All these people, like whether it's Peter Mandelson, Lord Mandelson, these people need to be rejected out of politics, and whether that's through like the law locking them up or a press that's responsive to things and not like the New York Post saying, hey, Jeffrey Epstein, was he secretly a Russian agent? Like, these obvious lies. We need to have people realize what's happened, which is that the world democracy has been hijacked by a bunch of fucking pervert billionaires.
Matt Stoller, I don't agree with everything Stoller says, but he had that great tweet about how like this is basically about how in the 1980s on, this informal network, the Epstein class, you can call them that, right? It's bankers, it's neocons, it's neoliberals. I think he was writing about, like, it's all of that, the people that skirted informal rules to enrich themselves.
We got wrestling fans in the national divorce. This is a sign. This is what I'm talking about. You can tell what party's gonna win by how they're doing with trashy white people. Trashy white people are the swing population. I'm not talking about necessarily Southern white. What I'm talking about is trashy white, okay? Specifically, trashy white people that are not evangelical Christian, okay? That is the real swing people. So like when people look at white, they get confused because they lump all white people together. All white people that are evangelical Christian are also racist and they're unwinnable. So if somebody identifies as an evangelical Christian, they're not who I'm talking about. You could put those people in the fascist category, right? I'm talking about the juggalo vote. I'm talking about the atheistic, atheistic, hedonistic, but fun to hang out with, trashy white people. The white people that are doing whippets, okay? Not Kid Rock, because Kid Rock is a rich guy, okay? He is a LARPer. All right. He was born rich. He's not one of them. He's a LARPer. And these are the people who we are competing with or competing for. They liked Obama. They liked Bernie, but they fucking hated Biden and Kamala Harris.
Now the face in the eyes of the champion.
Order. So annoying.
So fucking.
You want the man in black, not the dickhead with an achy, breaky heart.
Now the face in the eyes of the champion. Now the face.
And when trashy white people are chanting fuck ICE, that's a sign that things are coming back in our direction. Now, the problem is trashy white people are not popular among the elite, okay? Whether they're Republican elites or especially Democrat elites. Because trashy white people are what hoity-toity teachers' pets think they're better than. Trashy white people are what Pete Buttigieg scares his children with, okay? The salt of the earth. And so they hate those people. And they love bullying them. And they love treating them like pieces of shit. And they love talking about how privileged they are. Those people used to be the backbone of the New Deal coalition. And if the left is going to be successful, we need these people. Now, it's not, at best, it's not going to get us like an absolute majority of white people. If we get a plurality of white people, that means we're winning the trashy whites 2-1. Because remember, there's a large block of Southern white people that are unreconstructed fascists, okay? Those people are a lost cause, all right? If somebody's an evangelical Christian, they are in a cult. And I think the way that people talk about white people is they assume that the kind of evangelical Christian is evenly distributed over the country, and it's not. So white people in like Georgia are 65% evangelical Christian, with the remainder being trashy white, okay? Whereas in Pennsylvania, evangelical Christians are like 30%. You understand what I'm saying? With the remainder being trashy white. Hall monitors hush when we say white trash as a badge of honor. It's not, of course it's not an insult. I love those type of people. They're fucking great. They're the type of people that you can bum a cigarette off of, and then they hand you a Four Loko. They're the type of people that if you go to a tailgate, they're handing out free burgers. I love these guys. They're fucking great. If I need a Camel Crush, I know where to go, okay? All right, let's keep going.
In the eyes of the...
Where were we? Oh, speaking of trashy white people, major announcement from UAW.
Family, good evening, UAW family. This evening, I want to share some breaking news. After months of negotiations, we have reached a tentative agreement with Volkswagen for over 3,000 auto workers in Chattanooga, Tennessee. I'm joined here by Steve Cochran and Josh Epperson, co-chairs of the UAW Volkswagen Bargaining Committee. I'm also joined by our lead negotiator, former UAW Vice President Chuck Browning, and my Chief of Staff, Brandon Keats. These guys have been key with the committee in getting this thing to the finish line. I'll tell you, for some of these guys like Steve here and former Vice President Browning, this goes back decades. Chuck Browning started his walk with this mission in 2011. And that's why it was so critical to see him see this to the finish line, along with Steve and Josh here. I want to congratulate the membership. They're the ones that win in this. And I want to congratulate the bargaining committee down there, the elected bargaining committee. These guys have been relentless down there, working their asses off to get this thing done and to make sure that the workers down there at Volkswagen get everything they deserve. I also want to give props to Region 8 Director Tim Smith and his team and all of our staff that's worked down there. This is a historic moment, not only for these members, but for our union as a whole and the entire working class. For decades, we've seen auto workers falling further and further behind, despite an auto industry that's made billions for corporate executives in Wall Street. More and more auto jobs were non-union. Foreign auto companies set up shop in the U.S. South, where factory workers were underpaid and overexploited. The auto industry executives' plan was to undercut the standards our movement had won over the past century. But we have a different plan. Our plan is to organize the non-union auto industry, win strong union contracts, and bring the standards up so auto workers everywhere can win their fair share. When union workers at the Big Three join together with auto workers in the South, we all win. This is exactly what our UAW family at Volkswagen has done in this agreement. It's now up to the members what happens next. But this is a massive breakthrough for these members and for our entire union. Because they joined the UAW, workers want a 20% raise over the life of the deal. That's on top of the 11% UAW bump these workers got when we won our stand-up strike in 2023. We not only froze healthcare costs, we cut them by over 20%. At a time when we're in a healthcare crisis in this country, Volkswagen workers will have a health care they can afford because they joined the UAW. We got real job security. Volkswagen, the world's second largest automaker, has committed to keeping good jobs in Chattanooga.
See, this is what unions can do, chat. They turn guys who have terminal case of thumb, and when they join the union, their hairline freezes. It stops receding. The power of union empathy saves their hairline.
Threatening to close plants or move product. This team won that because the workers joined the UAW. Maybe more important than any specific win in this contract is the power of a union contract itself. It means your rights can't just be taken away by management. The days of favoritism, harassment, unequal treatment are over at Volkswagen. Volkswagen workers now have a real voice on the job and rights that are backed up with the power of their union. All of this is possible for one reason only, because auto workers stood up and stood together. Volkswagen workers organized for this moment for over a decade.
Crazy.
There were setbacks and late nights and a lot of sweat put into this fight, but they never quit. In 2023, when Big Three workers walked out, it did two things. One, it struck fear in the hearts of auto executives everywhere because they knew auto workers were done settling for less. And the second thing it did is it inspired auto workers to take action. From the day we walked out at the Big Three to the end of this contract, Volkswagen workers will have gotten a $10 an hour raise. Their healthcare cost will be lower in 2030 than they were in 2024. And they'll have enforceable rights on the job and real job security. Most of all, they will have joined a movement of auto workers and working class people who are ready to stick together and keep making history. So what comes next is now in the hands of the workers at Volkswagen, who will be voting on this tentative agreement. You'll be hearing from your bargaining committee soon about the next steps. So congratulations to all our union family in Chattanooga, and to all the non-union auto workers listening out there. This is your victory too. A better life is out there, and it starts with joining the UAW. So we leave it up to the membership now down at Volkswagen to decide what's next. And once we reach an agreement, we look forward to building on this relationship and doing great things with Volkswagen down in Chattanooga. So I thank you all for your time, and we look forward to continuing doing what we're doing and keep on winning.
All right, chat. Tentative agreement includes a 20% wage gain that moves us closer to industry standards, more affordable, high-quality healthcare, cost of living adjustments and profit sharing, strong protections against outsourcing, job cuts, and favoritism, enforceable health and safety standards, grievance and discipline procedures, and a $4,000 signing bonus and $2,550 annual bonus for all of the UAW Volkswagen workers. This is a first time for a Southern automaker, a Southern headquartered automaker, to have a union contract. So this is, if you know anything about unionization, there are 2 points that are incredibly hard. The first is forming a union and getting it recognized. The second, and the less sexy one, is getting the first contract signed. So they have successfully managed to organize in the Deep South. Although I guess Tennessee is a border state, huh? And a border state, still at a southern state. Don't they want us to be able to talk to their employer directly instead of using middleman? Yeah. You know what's interesting, chat? People are always like, wow, imagine what you could do with your union dues. What are you even getting? 20% raise, bonus. So it's almost as if the union dues are worth it. How about that? I don't think more affordable, high quality healthcare is specific enough that's presented exactly like a politician would present it. Are you okay? Are you okay? That means that the company is going to provide them with better health insurance that costs them less in monthly premiums and copays. They can't make Medicare for all by having a negotiation with Volkswagen. All they could do is lower the premiums and increase the quality and have the company pay more for health insurance. It's important that we celebrate our wins and understand that our politics aren't just some sort of theoretical idea. They are practical. They are actionable, and they result in outcomes. All right, chat. Let's go back and take a gander at the markets. Have they stabilized? Oh, wait. Oh my God, crypto has taken another leg down. It's in full-blown cash territory. Now below 66,595. Is it on a session low? Not quite, but close. Nearing the session lows. So this is the 52-week low, below 67,000. Holy shit. I mean, down almost 10% today. Gold and silver are also crashing. Silver down to 75, gold down to 4,882. Still massively up over the course of the year to date, but hedge funds made their profits. It's supposed to crash every year. It's not stocks. I mean, are you saying that? I mean, it hasn't been this low since 2024, my friend. Roughly 10% of Americans are unionized, yet people still complain about how much union workers get. The pay isn't great, but the benefits are amazing and far outweigh the cons of taking home less. I mean, you get paid more as well, actually. If you look at the evidence, is that similarly situated union employees make more compensation and have better benefits, and they have better working conditions, and they have better compensation in every way. Non-union workers don't even make more, like in hourly. The problem is that unionization in our country is weak. I would only consider it a crash for silver if it goes under 40. I mean, objectively, it was at $120 and now it's at 70. It peaked at 121 and now it's at, I mean, that's just, I'm sorry. I don't care how you evaluate the word crash. That's a crash. Now it's still up for the year, but not much. And look at the slope of this. Look at the slope of this decline. I mean, it opened at 115, closed at 78 in one day. Like that's a crash. And then it's continued to slip. I have to think that we're watching Bitcoin specifically as the CIA offloading their holdings before it breaks the files that they actually created Bitcoin and crypto to better track illicit activity globally and set up their own slush funds for more activities. I don't even consider that to be a conspiracy theory. I consider that to be a conspiracy fact. I've always thought that Bitcoin was CIA. And what makes me think that is bipartisan support for it in America while China bans it. That to me indicates CIA. The creator of Bitcoin is shrouded in mystery. I mean, it's the same. It's like there's a few things that just ping to me as CIA. Settlers and then Bitcoin. Like those things are just so perfectly CIA coded. Like their effects, the way they make people think, the fact that they're purely damaging and they have no utility or no practicality and they're just annoying as fuck to talk about and everybody who likes it you hate. And the creator is anonymous. CIA. I just don't even think there is a way to even like comprehend this. You know what I mean? Like this is a massive sell-off and I haven't really heard a good narrativizing of it. New Epstein files reveal contact with Bitcoin dev Anderson before CIA briefing. 2 days before before Gavin Anderson's controversial decision to discuss Bitcoin at the CIA, Jeffrey Epstein wanted to call him.
You said, I mean, we were talking earlier as well on our show. It's insane. I mean, it's like a nation state masquerading as a company at this point. But that said, I did go back and look at sort of the CapEx spent for the oil companies in 2013 or the telecom companies in 2000. And as a percent of income or revenues, however you want to slice it, this number doesn't come in as an outlier. It's sort of right in line with what we saw at peak spending in those cycles as well.
Yeah, I'm not an oil guy, but I just say that. Again, I think the ROI, when everyone says, well, what's the ROI? How can you have certainty? Both Google and Microsoft have accelerated revenue and effectively improved margins. When you look at what we've seen so far, when you would think about this big investment at the beginning of the cycle, and the CEO of ARM was talking about this, that we're still early, everyone in the industry is saying the same thing. You look at what's already paid off. It's not like this is like the internet boom and pets.com and Webvan, where you're seeing huge losses. You're seeing margins and trajectory of revenue improving. And that's proof that it's working. And then every major board across the globe, this is number one topic. It was never Bitcoin. It wasn't cloud. It wasn't, Web3. Pick your tectonic shift. No one was talking about those until like years after. Every board globally, this is number one objective. And so, I think I don't want to overhype this. I think, again, it's going to be bigger. And I think Sarah said this well at the beginning of the show on jobs. I mean, it's really scary. I have 2 kids in college, and I'm scared. I think we're scared for the new graduates. I know the CEO of IBM has said we're going to hire more new graduates than we have in the last 10 years this year. But I think everyone is bracing. This is starting to have an impact. You can already see it in the job numbers. You can see it in the hiring numbers. You can see it in the tech numbers right now.
Yeah, I mean, coming off of the data this week, as we said, ADP challenger, but this jolts number 2. And just looking at unemployment rates, Brent, of people who are about the age of your kids. I mean, the jump in that unemployment rate looks material.
Yeah, and I think you see it in all the companies we cover. They're hiring fewer people. So look at Workday. They just laid off another 2%, but they say they're going to hire them all back. I think, the street's not viewing that today as a positive sign, because their software's tied to the number of employees. So, again, I cover half software and some of the internet names. All the software names are getting crushed because of what's going to happen with AI. We're going to have fewer people. That's a seat-based model. What happens to the economics of the software industry? We're in a really interesting moment. I think it's probably oversold. We're probably over-exaggerating what OpenAI and Anthropic are going to do to them. We're at a moment right now. I've never seen this in 20 years plus doing this. The amount of skepticism and negativity on tech is
the skepticism and negativity around tech is ultra high because it's up 300% and there's no fucking reason to believe. Now, if they're telling regular people this, like every time I watch something on CNBC, I'm always like, you should do the opposite of what's being said on CNBC, because they're telling regular people something because they want to move against it. But like, I'm sorry, I just don't see it. I don't see the income. What was the last big thing in tech before AI? IoT flopped, metaverse flopped. God, you remember the metaverse, chat? Do you remember the metaverse? We caught that. NFTs. I guess Elon is saying that they're gonna do robots now, right? Like that's Elon. That's what Tesla's gonna do. They're gonna stop making electric cars and they're gonna make robots.
ultra high, and there's only a few names I think our investors want to be involved with, which are these big platforms that are for sure going to benefit. That is Google, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta.
Brent, appreciate it. Good discussion and plenty more to come. Brent Thill over at Jefferies.
All right, chat, we got a new Gatsu video, so let's watch it.
This video is not gonna have much editing because this topic is way too much for me to edit and try and make funny or whatever. You try making this bullshit funny. I will be putting up some of the documents on the screen that I can show so that YouTube even allows me to upload this video. I instead put Resident Evil 7 gameplay over this, which is a horror game. But what I'm about to tell you is way more horrifying than a game. After seeing the Epstein files and all the pictures and all the videos, I've genuinely been losing sleep. I've been on the internet since I was 5 years old. You know how hard it is to make me lose sleep over fucking anything? I've seen everything the world had to offer, or at least I thought. These new Epstein files have ruined so many things for me and for a lot of other people as well. I was drinking, I was in a bar, I puked on a dude's floor, and then I wake up next morning with a massive hangover. And I go on Twitter to check out if I tweeted some bullshit when I was drunk, because I usually do that. Thankfully, I didn't tweet anything when drunk. Unthankfully, the Epstein files had done a massive release, and I looked through everything with an extreme hangover and realized that, oh, okay, everything has been a lie all along, and also every conspiracy theory has been true. After you view the Epstein files, you can start believing in any conspiracy theory. I'm gonna start believing in any conspiracy theories now. We didn't land on the moon? You know what? Maybe you're right, man. I'm not gonna put...
The reason why I think we landed on the moon is the Soviets said that we did. That's the only reason why I think we landed on the moon, right? Like, that's the only reason. Like, the Soviets in 1969, you know, they're like, well, I guess they did it, right? China's century of dominance confirmed. Major PC manufacturers are exploring the integration of Chinese-made memory into their products. HP, Dell, Acer, and Asus are currently validating CXMT's DDR5 modules. Oh shit, I need to sell my DDR5 while I can. Those prices are gonna crash. Maybe I should rip them out of my computer and sell them. Fund myself a new computer.
And
okay, where were we? Sorry, there we are.
Too many eggs in this basket, because in these Epstein files, not only are there documents and emails such as, oh, do you have the video? This does not even make the top 10 at all, because reading stuff is one thing, right? But seeing it with your own eyes is another. I genuinely understand why Kash Patel looks like this now. It is the most horrifying, horrendous shit I have ever seen. I've genuinely lost sleep over it. And the thing is, guys, I would love to say about what I saw as well, but it will genuinely traumatize you and it will get this video taken down. One of the worst things I saw was a diary of a girl who was around 16, I think, and was used as an incubator by Ghislaine and Epstein, so basically making babies for them. And she got so fucked up at the end, bro, she was drawing Powerpuff Girls and stuff. At first I was thinking like, oh man, Epstein was getting emails about how good Georgian food is, guys. This is kind of funny. But when you explore this more, it gets so much worse. Like, I did not know I was in what the fuck I was in for first going through these files. On my island in the Caribbean with an aquarium full of girls. As two are Russian, I guess some might refer to them as white sharks. No, some are like shrimp. You throw away the head and keep the body. There are also messages about a 9-year-old girl. And Epstein also had a ranch in New Mexico, which was used for his baby-making eugenics projects. Even the victim in her diary is talking about how this was all Nazi-like because of her being blonde. I also saw pictures of him in a bathtub with a toddler. I woke up one day and on a hangover and realized we live in a pedophile Hitler world, and this is not an exaggeration by any means. Most of these girls were also trafficked from Eastern Europe and Turkey, which is my region, you know, and some other places too, like modeling agencies where they had set up companies in different countries as modeling agencies, and when women would go to model for them, they would just send them to Epstein. He also had a trapdoor in his house which led to the sea, and allegedly this was used to dispose of the victims' bodies. And also, every other billionaire or elite is involved in this. And every billionaire or millionaire had also claimed beforehand that they never knew about these horrible things when they were visiting the island. Nah, man, I was on the island just for the drinks. Epstein was already a
I think Elon Musk going a calm island getaway is the opposite of what I want. It's like so obvious he's referencing fucking young girl. And then like Elon got an email from fucking Epstein where Epstein says nobody over the age of 25 will be there. Like, what more can you even say? Investigate him! Arrest Elon! Look at his hard drives!
I wish I was special. So fucking special, but I'm a creep.
I mean, it's just like, how does he manage to have all this money, and yet he tweeted the other day, money doesn't buy happiness, you know, frown emoji. It's like, then pay more in taxes, motherfucker. Pay more in taxes. Stop hoarding all the money and all the resources if it's not making you happy. Chat, I just wrote a banger reply to a tweet and I can't show you. God damn it. But it's a fucking banger. Did I hit send? Yeah.
Convicted sex offender in 2008, and anyone else who had messaged him after 2008 knew this, such as Elon Musk, who was literally begging to be on Epstein's island and went too. Or how Bill Gates said, oh no, I was there just to have sex with Russian hoes, you know, talk about philanthropy. But they started meeting up in 2011 and they discussed a lot more than philanthropy. Officially, Jeffrey Epstein died by suicide while in jail. The same day this was posted. Not saying anything after this, please do not try to dox me, but last night after 4:15 a.m., they took him medical in a wheelchair, front cuffed, but not one triage nurse says they spoke to him. Next thing we know, a trip van shows up. We do not do releases on the weekends unless a judge orders it. Next thing we know, he's put in a single man's cell and hangs himself. Here's the thing, the trip man did not sign in and we did not record the plate number, and a guy in a green dress military outfit was in the back of the van according to the tower guy who let him through the gate. You guys, I am shaking right now, but I think they switched him out. This might seem...
I don't think they would... I think the reason why I don't believe in the switched him out theory is because it's better that he's dead than alive. It's like, have you ever watched Casino? Chat, the movie Casino? The mob that was running the casino, they get some heat, and all of the elderly fucking mob bosses sit around the table And they're like, why take a risk? And they go and they murder a bunch of their most loyal soldiers. Why? Out of the precautionary principle, because those soldiers could track back to them. So they go whack them all. Why take the risk? And that's Jeffrey Epstein. Why take the risk of trying to switch him out? Kill that motherfucker. He's too famous. People know about him now. Too much has gotten out. His ability to ensnare new people is at an end. The fucking blackmail he generated is still good. Why do they need him? Hey, Emmy Rome, how's it going? Chat, if you don't know who Emmy Rome is, I mean, I think they had the best clip of the last TwitchCon, which makes me laugh to this day. Which reminds me, we're supposed to go out. We need to schedule. I've been creating like 8 different projects and streaming like 7 days a week while also working on other projects. So I've been kind of like putting my head down for the past couple weeks in the new year, you know? Yes, we need to plan. Yeah. Somebody leak the clip. Chat, somebody leak Emmy Rome's clip. It's a fucking good clip. The Dems never, I honestly haven't really, I think I've went out with friends like 1 time in the past couple weeks. The Dems, I've been doing a lot of activism. That's what I've been doing. I've been going and doing like anti-ICE shit. The Dems want to never ever win again. Yeah, I know. We already made fun of this. France raids the X offices. Yeah, I saw that. We did talk about this.
The offices of X have been raided here in Paris by French law enforcement and Europol. French prosecutors have also summoned Elon Musk and his former CEO for voluntary questioning in April. This is part of a probe that was launched last year to look into allegations of algorithmic bias by X on its data processing system. That investigation
Maya Luna person is a Destiny orbiter. Oh no, I know. I hate them. I make fun of them all the time. They're actually a disgusting piece of shit. Like, I actually really dislike this person. There's somebody who, you know, they're one of those people that, how do I put this? They will overlook a friend sexually assaulting or harassing someone because they're a friend. And I think that's incredibly insane. And you know, it's just not okay. All right, back to the Epstein file video.
Just like another post on 4chan.
A quick search found this TwitchCon clip. Yeah, this is it. Sorry, Emmy Rome. We're playing it. All right, we don't have to.
I'm doing a little after party.
Okay.
I would love for you to come.
Why?
Because you're very beautiful.
We gotta go.
I love being objectified.
Come on, let's go.
She fucking owned him. The look to the camera and the way he was just gagged.
Objectified.
The zoom in, the look to the camera. This clip, honestly, I wish I had a clip this cool. Like, honestly, fuck. Utterly crushed. Male ego destroyed. Queen shit. Holy fuck. Does this apply to you too, Mike? We're being very ADHD this morning because I'm also sick. Did I tell you guys this? I'm fucking sick. Mike, did I cut my hair? I've cut it a while ago. The hairs feel a little dry right now. As a man, I have the right to just go on stream with fucking chopped hair, my mustache too long, and my facial hair all scraggly, and no one cares. Let's keep going.
Get him banned. Get him banned. We don't do that here. Oh, now I'm pissed. Find out who that is, get him banned. We don't do that.
What is this? Hassan, genocide is bad. Twitch. I mean, all that happened is he got banned and then he had a huge stream on YouTube, like, where he gained 30,000 subscribers. All right, can we stop being ADHD for 5 minutes and focus on one topic? Okay, we are talking about the Epstein files and we're watching the friend of the show, Gatsu's very funny video on it and how he now believes in every conspiracy theory. Let's lock the fuck in. We are also covering how Bitcoin is crashing really horribly. Holy fuck, it's almost below 66,000. It is on a new, oh my lord. Where is the like, okay, wow. We have given up all the gains since October 13th of 2024. Mike, you are ADHDing. DSA ADHD. I think it's because I'm also sick. I'm at like 80%. I'm at like 80% mental capacity. I'm at my voice, like my throat is kind of scratchy, and I have like, I don't have a headache. You know when you could kind of feel like there's tension? You're not, it hasn't actually hurt yet, but you could feel the tension. There's like a slight pressure. That's where I'm at. And it's like, God damn. Yeah, but Mike's on 60% HP, exactly.
But the FBI actually investigated the poster of this more. They basically doxed this dude and figured out that the guy who posted this was Roberto Grijalva, who is confirmed to have been a prison guard in the same prison Epstein allegedly himself. Whether or not Epstein is alive right now, the worst part of all this is that this thing is probably still going on today, but either on a different island or a different place. But the guarantee is that the elites of today are attending all of this and nothing has happened to anybody. Epstein is allegedly already dead, and his wife, who was his main accomplice, is in a minimum security prison. And you want to know something even worse? No, I didn't either. I'm still gonna fucking tell you. These files do not include any death or torture footage of the victims. You want to know why? It's because they haven't released those. It's not because it isn't there. No, it's because they aren't releasing it. So this shit already traumatized everybody who viewed it, and these were the censored ones. And they haven't released, and most likely won't release, the worst of it. It is so much worse than we all imagined. Eyes Wide Shut is one of the best movies of all time. It's about secret powerful societies and jealousy in relationships. It's an amazing movie directed by the best director of all time, Stanley Kubrick. This movie shows a powerful secret society that operates using code words, has these rituals, and have massive orgies. The thing is that in Eyes Wide Shut, everybody was freaking out when it came out in 1999, like, oh my god, what if these secret societies really exist? The worst part is, yes, they do. They are way worse than anything fucking depicted in that movie. At least they were having orgies with fucking adults in the movie, man. The real life equivalent is genuinely 1,000 times worse than anything that was depicted in.
Yeah, they're not. I mean, like, obviously. Mike, you missed it. What did I miss? I'm sorry. Fuck, my HP is low.
This movie, which is horrifying. Also, no cannibalism was depicted in the movie. There's also that, you know? Kubrick died before the movie fully released, and a lot of people say
Isn't that true? Like, they edited it. Like, I want the Kubrick cut.
Might have been killed for this movie, but he was also a 70-year-old chain smoker, which does not usually signify a high life expectancy. Also, the fact that the entire culture war was fake, because through these files, it got revealed that Epstein met Christopher.
Is there like a Kubrick cut of Eyes Wide Shut, or does it just not exist? It got deleted? 20 plus minutes were completely destroyed? Wait, what?
The creator of 4chan, and
I'm believing in the Kubrick conspiracy now.
After these two met, the 4chan forum of Paul was created. Paul was and is basically a right-wing discussion forum about politics. And by right-wing, I don't mean like a dude from Texas. I mean, these guys think Hitler was not cruel enough. And these guys were behind the 2016 SJW compilations, even playing a big role in getting Trump elected. Basically, every single far-right thing ever. And on the other side of the spectrum, Reddit. The user Maxwell Hill on Reddit was the first person ever to reach 1 million Reddit karma.
Has it been confirmed that it was Ghislaine? Is it like 100% confirmed that it's Ghislaine? I mean, they've stopped posting. So, I mean, all they have to do is go, I'm not Ghislaine Maxwell. Like, it's kind of crazy they haven't.
Also, a longtime curator and moderator of r/World News. Basically, this one account had huge power over the entire progressive sphere by curating Reddit to their own liking. And the account was ran by Ghislaine Maxwell, which was Jeffrey Epstein's wife and the main accomplice in him trafficking all these kids and doing all this horrible shit. So, on the far right, you have Epstein, which created Paul, and on the left, you have Ghislaine Maxwell, his wife. So basically, this entire culture war thing was fake. Another thing that got revealed was something I already knew, and I have been saying this on this channel. Katsu proved right 500 times in a row again, every anti-European, pro-Russian populist party in Europe is funded by Russia. Surprising some people, but definitely not me. He was having a meeting yesterday with the French right-wingers, including Le Pen's husband, about refinancing the National Front Party because apparently a good part of their money comes from Russia. Also, Steve Bannon, who is an American media executive and also was a former White House chief strategist, was advising the AfD, the far-right party in Germany, Orban from Hungary, Farage in the UK, Salvini in Italy, and the Swiss. And also, it's like every country is doing something about this besides fucking America. Lithuania opened up a human trafficking investigation over the Epstein files. North Macedonia opened an investigation about this. Slovakia's national security advisor resigned after the files showed them messaging in 2018. So every country is doing something about this, except the main culprit, the United States. This is where everything was going on, and FBI just dropped all these files and bullshit, traumatizing us with the worst things we have ever seen in our lifetimes, and then just proceeded to not do anything about the people in those files. I'm done, bro. More usual videos coming soon. I was working on another video, but also...
Speaking of this, I saw in this news a few days ago, titles say this: Jeffrey Epstein financed the project of a far-right Quebecer. Yeah, I mean, it seems like most of the far-right is connected to Epstein.
These dropped and I couldn't stop thinking about this at all. So I'll see you guys with a normal video next time. Like and subscribe. Goodbye.
All right, so people are saying that, okay, apparently there's this massive investor named Michael Saylor who has a ton of Bitcoin, and as the price sinks, it gets closer and closer to a point where he may be margin called and forced liquidated.
Volatility was a gift to the faithful. It scares away the tourist. It scares away the lazy. It scares away the people that are already conventionally rich, that have all the money. If you're a 20-something or a 30-something and you're willing to do the work, if you're willing to spend 100 hours or 200 hours, if you have more time than money, then the volatility of Bitcoin is a gift to you. If you have more money than time and you're arrogant and egotistical and you just pick the obvious, then if the volatility goes away, you buy Bitcoin. If people in the rest of the world knew what I know and they understood and they agreed with me, Bitcoin would go to $10 million tomorrow. And if Bitcoin went to $10 million tomorrow, I want you to think about how you would feel and how your viewers would feel, because you would lose 20 years of stacking opportunity during which you get to buy at less than $10 million. So the difference between $10 million and 100,000, that's what you give up if the volatility goes away and people start to agree with you.
These are the capitalists that are running our society. If you're ever wondering why they can't fill a fucking pothole, this is where money is going in our society. Bitcoin is trading at near the session lows. Jesus Christ. Almost below 66,000. These people are completely stupid. I love the volatility. Yay, I love when the value just goes away in an instant. He's going to get margin call to jump out of a window. I mean, listen, that would be horrible. Chat, we don't support suicide. We're anti-suicide in this chat because I have to be. What else are we talking about today? Oh, God. You want good news or bad news? You want good news or bad news? How are we feeling right now, chat? I'm seeing a lot of bad. Bad looks like it's winning to me. Bad looks like it's winning to me. Okay, we'll go with bad. We've got some real Mike from PA heads in here. Chuck Schumer is surrendering to Donald Trump on ICE. Senate and House Democrats are united in reining the abuses of ICE. Americans have watched in horror as ICE has terrorized communities across the country. Federal agents can't continue to cause chaos in our cities while more Americans are killed. We must rein in ICE. Here's what we're demanding. DHS officers cannot enter private property without a judicial warrant. Require verification that a person is not a U.S. citizen before holding them in immigration detention. What does that mean? No masks. Now, apparently, they're giving up on no masks. Apparently, they're giving up on masks. Let me see if I can find this. Oh, wait, hold on. I've got it. Democrats seem to have softened their demand that federal immigration officers be banned from wearing masks while making deportation arrests. The House Minority Leader, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, said that the party's position was that no mask should be deployed in an arbitrary and capricious fashion. Senator Chuck Schumer, the Minority Leader, said that masks should only be used in extraordinary circumstances. They couldn't even say they have to identify themselves when they're grabbing people off the streets. I mean, what could you even say?
This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org. I'm Amy Goodman with Nermeen Sheikh.
We turn now to some of the powerful voices from Tuesday's hearing on Capitol Hill on U.S. citizens who've experienced violent encounters with federal immigration agents deployed in cities across the U.S. 3 U.S. citizens and the brothers of Renee Good shared harrowing testimony of their experiences as congressional Democrats promised accountability. Not a single Republican lawmaker showed up. Renee Good's brothers, Brent and Luke Ganger, testified at the hearing, with Brent Ganger reading from his eulogy to his sister, saying Good was, quote, unapologetically hopeful. This is part of Luke's testimony at Tuesday's hearing.
My name is Luke Ganger, and I'm here with my brother Brent. Renee Good is our sister. We're here on behalf of Nae's big family and those who loved her. We're here to ask for your help.
Democrats say they will not support a spending bill needed to keep the Homeland Security Department running past February 13th without new restrictions on federal agents. In other words, they're going to do it. They're giving them $64.4 billion. Guys, if you want to understand how much money that is, that would be enough to pay for everybody's college tuition for the entire year. That's how much it would cost to fund all the currently enrolled people in public universities and historically black colleges, just to be accurate and be very specific about what I'm saying. That's 9 years worth of global cancer research funds, according to Jasper. The entire K-12 education funding for the state of Pennsylvania, I think, is like $7 billion. What's it for New York State? Total K-12 funding for New York State is $37 billion. Imagine every single child going to school from K-12 in New York doesn't even scratch this. Think about how many teachers there are. Think about how many kids there are. And they're doubling that. What do you even say? What do you even fucking say?
Talking to my 4-year-old last week, when she noticed I was not doing well, I had to come here today and talk to some important people. She knows that her aunt died and that somebody caused it to happen. She told me that there are no bad people and that everyone makes mistakes. She has Nae's spirit. Deep distress our family feels because of Nae's loss is in such a violent and unnecessary way is complicated by feelings of disbelief, distress.
Did you hear that Savannah Guthrie's mother was kidnapped? She's one of the the Today Show's anchors. What the fuck?
And desperation for change. In the last few weeks, our family took some consolation, thinking that perhaps Nae's death would bring about change in our country, and it has not. The completely surreal scenes taking place on the streets of Minneapolis are beyond explanation. This is not just a bad day or a rough week or isolated incidents. These encounters with federal agents are changing the community and changing many lives, including ours, forever.
That was Renee Good's brother, Luke Ganger, testifying on Capitol Hill, followed by 30-year-old Marimara Martinez from Chicago. In her testimony, she described her near-fatal encounter with Border Patrol agents October 4th. She was on her way to church to drop off clothes for donation when she spotted Border Patrol vehicle in her neighborhood. She says she followed them for about 15 minutes, honking her horn, shouting La Migra to warn her neighbors. That's essentially shouting ICE. Then, when she was to the left of their vehicle, an agent swerved into her lane, sideswiping her vehicle. This is some of her testimony about what happened next.
I drove forward and went around the Border Patrol agents, who jumped out of his car and pointed his gun at me. I moved to the far left lane, striking the curb on the far left side of Kedzie. The next thing I knew, I felt a burning sensation in my arms, legs, and that I had been shot by pepper balls, which I also seen these agents fire at people in our community. As I continued to drive past the Border Patrol agents, I could hear my back passenger window shatter. and I felt bullets continue to pierce my body. As I attempted to drive to a safe location, I began to feel lightheaded. I looked down and I noticed blood gushing out of my arms and legs, and I realized I'd been shot multiple times. At the hospital, I remember seeing multiple agents standing around, watching me be treated for my wounds. My arms, legs, and chest were all wrapped in bandages. I had 7 bullet holes in my body. I remember the agents rushing the nurses to finish up so they could take me with them. The agents took me from the second hospital to the federal detention center in downtown Chicago. I had never even had a parking ticket before, and now I was sitting in federal detention center just for being the victim in a minor traffic accident. Things were surreal. The news in the jail that evening had my story and was being called a domestic terrorist. I am in significant pain as I attempt to do things I was easily able to do before October 4. I attend weekly physical therapy sessions to work on these issues and hope one day I can move in the same way I was able to move prior to October 4. I know that what happened to me in the matter of seconds on October 4 will unfortunately be with me for a lifetime. And perhaps even worse, the mental scars will always be there as a reminder of the time my own government attempted to execute me, and when they fell, they chose to vilify me. I am Renee Good. I am Alex Preddy. I am Silverio Villegas Gonzalez. I am Keith Porter. They should all be here today. I know each of them would trade my bullet wounds and lifetime of mental distress and a heartbeat to be able to be back with their loved ones this afternoon. And we must also—
What a fucking badass. She takes 5 shots and she's like, nah, I'm going to DC to go right the fuck after these people.
Also remember the countless other souls who lost their lives at the hands of these entrusted with authority.
That's Marimar Martinez, shot
I'd fucking get those bullets and turn them into a necklace.
By Border Patrol agent Charles Exum in Chicago on October 4th.
What a Chad.
After he shot her, the agent sent text messages bragging, quote, I fired 5 rounds and she had 7 holes. Put that in your book, boys, he said. The charges against Martinez were dropped. The next speaker was Daniel Rascon from San Bernardino, California. He described an encounter with mass federal immigration agents in August.
Daniel Rascon, a 23-year-old U.S. citizen from SoCal. I'm the eldest of 3 brothers and father to a nearly 3-week-old baby girl. I operate a forklift for work and currently have my CDLA license and dental assisting certification. I'm no celebrity, but I am loved by many in my community, and there are many that I love and I'm thankful for. The morning of August 16th, 2025 would quickly become unforgettable, especially because my future father-in-law, Francisco Longoria, wanted me to run an errand with him and his son, Jonathan, when all I really wanted to do was just sleep in. We took Jonathan's truck with him sitting in the passenger seat, Francisco driving, and me sitting behind Francisco, when we were just 2 minutes away from home. At 8:49 a.m., 2 unmarked trucks suddenly boxed in our car. I had been looking down at my phone, but when our car abruptly stopped, I looked up thinking we must be at a red light or in a traffic jam. But to my surprise, I was instead met with four men in face masks, sunglasses, and baseball caps, and guns drawn, pointing straight at us, walking towards our car. These 4 men then tried forcing their way into our car by pulling on the handles, pounding on the windows, and yelling at us to roll down the windows, all while failing to answer our repeated requests for their identification and what they wanted. I did not know who these men were. They were refusing to identify themselves.
I mean, it's let's say, for example, they did this and somebody blasted them all with a gun. Would that be, I mean, I think it would be reasonable to fear for your life if a bunch of masked men start fucking surrounding you. Like, that would object, a masked armed men surround your car and you blast them. I think that would be, and they refuse to identify themselves. Like, how could I verify that you're law enforcement? It's, you know, anybody could buy a mask. Anybody could buy a vest that says police on it. If you don't provide your badge number, if you don't provide your identity, if you don't give me a process to verify that you are a legitimate law enforcement officer and you're aggressing against me, I mean, like, that's going to result in eventually somebody's going to get killed. A lot of ICE agents might end up dead before this is all said and done. Nobody would be able to take down 4 dudes. You'd get blasted yourself. I mean, the thing is, That's certainly a possibility. It's not something that I want to have happen. I don't think it's a good idea. I don't think an individual should take on ICE agents and start blasting, you know. Obviously, that would be a crazy event to take place, but they're creating the conditions for that type of event to take place.
The only thing I felt I could control was capturing this event by recording it on my cell phone. There were 2 men on either side of the car, and they were not wearing any uniform. I could not tell who these men surrounding our car with guns were. We again asked them to show identification and why they were approaching us with so much aggression. Only seconds after they started pounding on the windows, one of the men broke the driver's side window, punched Francisco in the face, and began reaching into the car. At the same time, a man on the other side of the car, the passenger window, where Jonathan was sitting, and began reaching into the vehicle. They shattered the windows, and in that moment, the whole world felt like it was the size of the inside of our pickup, and we were sitting in harm's way with nothing to do but record the horrifying experience. Terrified for our lives, Francisco bravely drove straight through the only open pathway down the street, hoping to be driving towards safety. When we were instead met with gunfire. After we had passed the men, one of the 4 men attempted to murder us after we passed by, as he fired and made contact with the passenger side of our car multiple times. I will never forget the fear and having to quickly duck my head as the shots were fired at the car. Any one of those bullets could have killed me or 2 people that I love.
2 weeks later, Daniel Rascon's home was raided at 4 in the morning. Agents wearing night vision goggles stormed into his house, training the lasers from their assault rifles onto everyone in Daniel's family, including his pregnant fiancée. His father-in-law, Francisco, who had been driving, was then taken into custody and charged with assaulting an officer. He stayed in jail for 3 months before he was released. A federal judge later dropped the charges against him, believing he had feared for his life. Finally, we turn to the excerpt of Alia Rahman's testimony. She was violently dragged out of her car by federal immigration officers in Minneapolis this January as she was on her way to a medical appointment.
My name is Alia Rahman, and I am a resident of South Minneapolis. I'm a Bangladeshi American, born in northern Wisconsin, and I'm a disabled person with autism and a traumatic brain injury. Not all autistic brains do this, but mine fixates on sounds, numbers, and patterns. And while what the world saw happen to me exactly 3 weeks ago today on video was a terrible violation, it is still nothing compared to the horrific practices I saw inside the Whipple Center. So I am here today with a duty to the people who have not had the privilege of coming home, and I offer this data because these practices must end. On January 13th, on the way to my 39th appointment at Hennepin County's Traumatic Brain Injury Center, I encountered a traffic jam caused by ICE vehicles and no signs indicating how to get around it. I had not wanted to pull into a blocked, chaotic intersection, but verbally agreed to do so and rolled down my window after an agent yelled, "Move! I will break your effing window!" His first instruction. Agents on all sides of my vehicle yelled conflicting threats and instructions that I could not process while watching for pedestrians. Then the glass of the passenger side window flew across my face. I yelled, "I'm disabled," at the hands grabbing at me, and an agent said, "Too late." I felt immersed in a pattern, and I thought of Genoa Donald, an autistic black man killed by police during a traffic stop in 2021. I remembered Mr. Sliberio Gonzalez, who was killed by ICE in his vehicle last year. An agent pulled a large combat knife in front of my face, which I thought was for cutting me, and later learned was used to cut off my seatbelt. Shooting pain went through my head, neck, and wrists when I hit the ground face first, and people leaned on my back. I felt the pattern, and I thought of Mr. George Floyd, who was killed 4 blocks away. I was carried face down through the street by my cuff.
The Democrats are like, what if we gave them $64 billion and they promised to be good? It's strikingly, like, honestly, if you study the Weimar Republic, Chad, you will see how similar Chuck Schumer is to the Center Party. Like, it's shocking. They basically just continually gave up their leverage. Like, the Nazis never had the majority needed to give. Like, if all the other parties had said no to Hitler, there would have been no Nazi dictatorship. But Chuck Schumer just sounds exactly like the Center Party. They kept giving in for nothing, not even a promise. And it's like, The center party really does see, like, if you go and like, let's pull up the wiki on this because it's just so fucking, it's spot on. Like, it's so fucking spot on. The center consistently supported Bruning's government and in 1932 vigorously campaigned for the re-election of Paul von Hindenburg, calling him a venerate historical personality and the keeper of the Constitution. Hindenburg was re-elected against Hitler, but shortly thereafter, dismissed Bruning on 30 May 1932. President Hindenburg, advised by General Kurt von Schleckner, appointed the Catholic nobleman Franz von Papen as chancellor, a member of the center's right wing and a former cavalry captain. The intention was to break the connection of the center with the other Republican parties or to split the party and integrate it into a comprehensive conservative movement. However, the center refused to support Papen's government in any way and criticized him for distorting and abusing good old ideals of the center, acting as the representative of reactionary circles. Following Bruning's resignation, the center party entered the opposition. Though they opposed the Nazi party, their energies were directed mainly against the renegade Papen. Some center politicians were soothed by Hitler's strategy of legality into downplaying the Nazi threat. Chairman Ludwig Kass advised the president to recognize this connection by basing the government on a coalition with the rising right-wing parties, the logical result of current development that would force the radicals to take their share in responsibility and equating them with international politics. As Papen was faced with almost universal opposition by the parties, he had the Reichstag dissolved. In the subsequent elections, the Center Party campaigned on two fronts, against both Papen government and National Socialists, and reaffirmed their stance as a constitutional party opposed to any measure contrary to the Constitution, justice, and law, and unwilling to yield to terror. The July 1932 elections brought further losses to mainstream parties and gains to extremist parties. The National Socialists supplanted the Social Democrats as the largest party in the Reichstag. As the Communists and National Socialists together had won the majority of seats, no government coalition could be formed without one of them. Papen tried to justify his authoritarian style of government by pointing out that Parliament can no longer function properly. Countering this reasoning, the Center and the BVP tried to reestablish a working parliament by cooperation with the National Socialists, since the three parties together had attained 53% of the seats. When Papen called upon the people to reject the dictatorship of a single party, the Center Party agreed without reservation, but it also stated that with the same resolution would reject the dictatorship of the nameless party now in power, even if cloaked with the illusion of non-partisanship. After Papen failed to get Hitler's support for his administration, the Center began their own negotiation with the National Socialists. They started in the state of Russia, where the Weimar coalition had just lost its majority. An alternative majority could not be found, and the Papen administration had seized this opportunity to assume control of Germany's largest state in the Prussian coup via presidential decree. Now, the National Socialists proposed to end this direct rule by forming a coalition with the Center Party, promising an equal share in government. And this is basically it. If you just keep reading through, let's get down to the end. The elections in March 1933 were marred by brown shirt terror after the Reichstag fire and civil rights had been suspended by President Hindenburg through the Reichstag fire decree. Still, the Center Party campaigned hard against the Hitler administration and managed to preserve their former vote of roughly 11%. The government parties NSDAP and DNVP, however, jointly won 52% of the vote. The result shattered the Center Party's hope of being indispensable for obtaining majority in parliament. Now, remember, these elections were marred with intimidation by the SA. The party was now faced with two alternatives, either to persist in protesting and risk reprisals like communists and social democrats, or to declare their loyal cooperation in order to protect their members. As shown by subsequent events, though deeply uncomfortable with the new government, the party opted for the later alternative. And this is the Democratic Party in a nutshell. They are going to side with Trump because resistance is too scary. The government confronted the newly elected Reichstag with the Enabling Act of 1933 that would have vested the government with legislative powers for the period of 4 years. As the bill required a two-thirds majority in order to pass, the coalition of parties only controlled 340, 52% of the seats. The government needed the support of other parties. The Center Party, whose vote was going to be decisive, was split on the issue of the Enabling Act. Chairman Kass advocated supporting the bill at Parliament in return for government guarantees. These mainly included respecting the president's office, retaining veto power, religious liberty, its involvement in culture, schools, and education, the concordats signed by German states, and the existence of the Center Party. Via Papen, Hitler responded positively and personally addressed the issues in his Reichstag speech, but he repeatedly put off signing a written letter of agreement. Kass was aware of the doubtful nature of such guarantees, but when the Center Party assembled on 23 March to decide on their vote, Cass advised his fellow party members to support the bill. On the one hand, we must preserve our soul, but on the other hand, a rejection of the Enabling Act would result in unpleasant consequences for faction and party. What is left is only to guard against the worst. Where a 2/3 majority not obtained, the government's plan will be carried out through other means. The president has acquiesced in the Enabling Act. From DNVP, no attempt of relieving the situation is to be expected. So they gave in and they got nothing. The opponents also argued that Catholic social teaching ruled out participating in acts of revolution. In the end, the majority of Senator parliamentarians supported Cass's proposal. Bruning and his followers agreed to respect party discipline by also voting in favor of the bill. The Reichstag assembled under turbulent circumstances. SA men served as guards and crowded outside the building to intimidate any opposition, while communists and some social democratic members of the Reichstag had been imprisoned and thus prevented from voting. In the end, the Senate voted as planned in favor of the Enabling Act, as did all other parties apart from the SPD. The communists were all arrested and banned from voting. The passing of the Enabling Act did not, as Cass had suggested, prevent the center party's demise. As promised during the negotiations, a working committee chaired by Hitler and Cass was supposed to inform about further legislative measures. However, it met only 3 times. Loyal party members, in particular civil servants and other Catholic organizations, were subject to increasing reprisals. Despite Hitler's previous guarantees, the party was hurt by declaration of the German bishops that, while retaining their opposition to Nazi ideology, modified the ban in cooperation with the new authorities. By July, the center was the only non-Nazi party still even nominally existed. The SPD and KPD had been banned, while others had been browbeaten into dissolving themselves. On 1 July, Papin and Cass agreed that as part of any of the Concordat, German priests would stay out of politics. The day after, the government issued a law outlawing the formation of new political parties, thereby making the National Socialist Party the only legally permitted party in Germany. So in other words, they surrendered in exchange for nothing, and they were destroyed anyway. Democrats seem to have softened their demand that federal immigration officers be banned from wearing masks when making deportation arrests. The House Minority Leader, Representative Hakeem Jeffries, said that the party's position was no mask should be deployed in an arbitrary and capricious, wow, thanks for that position,
arms and legs while yelling that I had a brain injury and was disabled. I now cannot lift my arms normally. I was never asked for ID, never told I was under arrest, never read my rights, and never charged with a crime.
A part of the testimony of Alia Rahman at Tuesday's congressional hearing on President Trump's militarized crackdown on immigration. No Republican attended that hearing. We'll hear more from Alia Rahman next week on Democracy Now! On Tuesday, Vice President J.D. Vance was interviewed by the Daily Mail.
You apologized? Did you plan to apologize to the family of Alex Peretti for, labeling him an assassin with ill intent?
Well, again, I just described to you what I said about Alex Peretti, which is that he's a guy who showed up with ill intent to an ICE protest.
No, but if it's determined that his civil rights were violated by this FBI investigation, will you apologize to that?
So if this hypothetical leads to that hypothetical leads to another hypothetical,
it's a real case,
will I do a thing?
Vice President J.D. Vance. Thanks for watching Democracy Now! On YouTube. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to make sure you never miss a video. And for more of our audience-supported journalism, go to democracynow.org, where you can download our news app, sign up for our newsletter, subscribe to the daily podcast, and so much more.
Maybe not that. Holy shit. Have I seen this?
Fallout continues to grow over the Justice Department's release of more than 3 million pages of files related to the late convicted sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't know if I want to watch Ro Khanna, Chad. I don't. All right. Ro Khanna fucking sucks. Where are we at with the stonks? What's with Bitcoin? Where is Bitcoin now? Okay, so it's at 65,000 now. Holy shit! Crash! Damn! Trump just sold his Bitcoin. Donald Trump's World Liberty Financial sells 5 million worth of Bitcoin. Now, I don't know that Jacob King is legitimate. I don't know if this guy is legitimate. I don't fucking know what this fucking shit is. This is, I don't know if this guy's a legitimate reporter. Did I see this garbage? Okay, what? What was the good news? We're all in the Epstein files featuring Ross Douthat. Are they trying to get me permed? Is this a trick? Is this a trick?
Bürgermeister.
That's it.
A day da die Kinder gehängt.
Yeah.
Hey, shoot that guy.
This guy?
Yeah, him, the SS cocksucker with the busted wing.
I personally believe that the guy in the glasses was actually the SS officer, and he exchanged coats with that other guy, and they killed the wrong guy. I haven't seen Fury in a while, but I feel like that's the vibe. Dead cat bounce, I'm calling it. Bro, it's down 10% today. Jesus. 10% Bitcoin crash in one day. Dow drops 500 points. Nasdaq craters for third day as stock sell-off gains steam. I mean, this is crazy. 10% down? When have you ever... And we're seeing the same thing across the markets. Gold is down. Silver's down 10%. Well, gold is only down 1%. Platinum's down 6%. Financial advice for Michael Saylor.
刚开始我买股票下跌才亏钱，后来学会了做空，上涨也亏钱。
我然后学会了期权，价格不变也亏钱。我最后学会了杠杆，10倍速亏钱。
最早开始炒 A 股，上班才亏钱，后来学会了美股，晚上睡觉也亏钱。
我然后学会了炒币，周末也亏钱。我最后学会了融资，没钱也亏钱。
The Chinese are like, we learned how to lose money too.
关注我，获取更多理财建议。
关注我，获取更多法律知识。
Oh, chat. Have you guys been watching Vio? She says that these are key lime pancakes. That's how you earn the shill. Right there. Nice. Vio the meat tuber? Vio the meat tuber. I heard Vio has been meat tubing a lot more. I'm actually... Man, it sucks that I'm like under the weather, dude. Huh? No, I don't need that. Left here to get that golden Kappa hype train. Yes. She had a golden Kappa hype train? This is why Malcolm X says that...
When I was in prison, I read an article, The Chinese Revolution. They set a good example. When I was in prison, I read an article, and don't be shocked when I say I was in prison. You still in prison. That's what America means, prison. When I was in prison, I read an article in Life magazine showing a little Chinese girl, 9 years old. Her father was on his hands and knees, and she was pulling the trigger because he was an Uncle Tom Chinaman. When they had the revolution over there, they took a whole generation of Uncle Toms, just wiped them out. And within 10 years, that little girl became a full-grown woman. No more Toms in China. And today it's one of the toughest, roughest, most feared countries on this earth by the white man, because there are no Uncle Toms over there. The Chinese Revolution. They set a good example. When I was in prison, I read an article.
How did you get that on your feed? I wonder how you got that in your feed. Here's one for you.
Oh, things are bad, bad, bad. About to get sadder. Don't be glad, glad, glad. We should be mad. We're going down, down, down. We're all gonna drown. We'll all be poor, poor, poor. But wait, here's some more. We're all in debt, debt, debt. As you could bet, it will get worse, worse, worse. And yes, we're all cursed. We are all broke, broke, broke. And it's such a joke, cause there's no hope, hope, hope. And no one can cope. We are all doomed, doomed, doomed. Nothing's improved. Don't even try. Just give up and cry.
Yeah. Unrelated, not sure if you're aware of what's happening at Helldivers lately, but the story arc currently has the bots taking over the official game's social media accounts and flooding them with propaganda messages written in binary. Someone used Grok to translate the binary, and it turns out that even the automatons hate Elon. In the game, the automatons are socialists.
It's great. This is what we do with the Fear and podcast, okay? Everybody's like, oh my God, Hassan's collaborating with Paris Hilton. Oh my God. But really, once the episode happens, the story is Austin Show and Paris Hilton. You know what I mean? Hassan generates the buzz, and then he sits there like, that's what he does. I'm gay and Lebanese, right? I just got to have him there so I can steal the show. You know what I'm saying? You know, it's great. This is what we do with the Fear and podcast, okay? Everybody's like, oh my God.
You know what, Chad? I don't usually ship people, but I don't feel like you can imitate them that well unless you know them biblically. You know, there was some toe curling involved in learning that impression. I'm against shipping normally, okay? Normally I would never. But Willis Hassan's boyfriend, bro, you know that relationship is wide open. Come on. Come on. The guy famous for self-suck is not jealous, okay? Like, come on. Come on. There was also this clip. All right, hold on.
Austin, I must tell you, I started watching Fear and because I enjoy Hassan's content, but I stay watching all because of you. That is so not. You mean you don't enjoy Hassan being on his phone?
Man, Austin is on fire today. Okay. Where are we at? What are we talking about? What other disaster? Oh, I was supposed to give you guys good news, wasn't I? Good news. Oh, what the fuck is this? What the fuck is this?
Has just unveiled the country's most audacious military project, a 120,000-ton aircraft carrier that would hover at the edge of space. The Luanyao, named after a mythical bird, would deploy 88 unmanned stealth fighters with hypersonic missiles capable of striking anywhere on Earth. The specs of this thing are extraordinary. It's 242 meters long, 684 meters wide. That's twice as long and 3 times as wide as the world's largest aircraft carrier, the USS Gerald R. Ford. It's like the helicarrier from the Avengers or the Star Wars Millennium Falcon. But the international consensus says the technology to keep this thing aloft simply doesn't exist. China wants to have this thing in the air by 2040. The reality? It's very heavy and needs a lot of fuel. The propulsion system that it needs hasn't been invented yet. And even if this is just high-tech theatre, the concept reveals Beijing's aspirations for aerospace warfare. China is pouring billions into its space program. Its space station is operational and crewed missions.
I'm sorry, chat. This is so fucking stupid.
Will, come over here. All right, we got a fucking show to do.
What the fuck's happening with the screen? All right, hold on while I fix this. I'm okay. Yeah. That's what I was scared of. Yep. Okay. Are you okay? All right. Oh, wait. Okay. Back. Gotta watch this one real fast. Okay.
Sorry, I have to. I'm literally talking to a bunch of politicians and labor.
They can't wait 30 minutes.
It's an emergency. Anyway, sorry.
I have this thing though. If you're not looking at me and you're clearly not paying attention, I think that counts as not listening, even if you're hearing me.
Have you had this issue with him where like you're talking to him or you ask him a question and it takes 2 business days for him to respond?
Yes.
No,
yes,
in person. I'm waiting for the response and then just nothing.
I just want to say I hate this episode.
Sometimes I'll talk to him and I'll never get a response.
In person?
Yes. Sometimes I come over and he never talks back at all.
I don't do that anymore.
Wait, he used to do that?
All the time. Just noises.
Every time. I don't do that anymore.
It's like a wall. Okay, good night, Hassan. All right. No.
By the way, this is very autistic. This is very autistic, actually. Because normal people understand that you have to acknowledge the other person. You know, even if you don't feel like you have to say anything or you're not contributing, you acknowledge the other person. So you'll communicate like, they're like, you know, blah, 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 blah. You're like, oh, that's, you know, there's like neutral sounding phrases that don't really mean anything, but indicate that you are still engaged and paying attention. Autistic people really struggle with that. So that is an autistic trait for sure. Not responding at all. Okay. Actual good news, chat. Actual good news. Hold on. Okay, maybe we don't have any. All right. Graham Plattner just posted this video, and I wanted to check it out. It's Graham Plattner. I'm actually going to be talking to a Republican voter. Now, I've decided, based on Graham Plattner's reaction to Venezuela and Graham Plattner's rhetoric on ICE, that I am going to critically support Graham Plattner. I'm not going to be like scared to support Graham Plattner because he's a veteran or whatever the fuck. I just don't give a shit. If you can whine and cry and complain about it, I don't agree with everything he did in the past. I think there are some sussy shit. But when you look at the grand scope of American politicians, how many of them are vocally speaking out against ICE? I want to encourage people to do that. So when people do the right thing, I'm going to tap them on the head like a dog and say, good boy.
Sitting down with one of our volunteers' mothers, who's a registered Republican and not planning to vote for me.
He's a Democrat. I'm like,
It's really important that we take the time to listen to each other, extend compassion, empathy, and understanding, and a willingness to learn. Doing well. Thank you so much for doing this.
I don't see where any of these taxes are benefiting the state of Maine. The roads still need fixing. The infrastructure is still shaky. And where is it going?
I don't mind paying taxes if I get something back. We have crumbling infrastructure. We have a collapsing healthcare system, especially in rural areas, where if you're lucky enough to even be able to afford it, I mean, the hospitals are, in Eastern Maine, the hospitals are closing.
My sister lives in Waterville, and they've been taking her out of the hospitals, and it got to the point where the EMTs come from the fire department to do her blood work.
Of course, which is insane.
Yeah.
At the federal level, we do not put our federal resources, our tax dollars, into helping working Americans. We put them into the pockets of corporate interests. The United States has more money, more resources, more capacity to provide for people than we've ever had before. I mean,
and it's not happening.
And it's not happening.
Now, the other thing that I was wondering about was, you have workers that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do they tell you what their raise is going to be?
Do they tell? No, they don't. They don't.
Do you decide that?
I do.
Because you employ them.
That's right.
So why are the people in Congress and the Senate?
I agree with you wholeheartedly.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
My
no.
God, where is he from?
I'm from Selma.
Yeah, I know. And how is that possible? They are working for us. We are the boss of them.
Yeah.
And they're saying, well, this is what we're going to get, and you're going to give it to us.
They give themselves spectacular health care.
Yeah.
Paid for with tax dollars. And yet, at the same time, they have no interest in using tax dollars to give health care to everybody else.
Yeah.
But they're very happy to take it themselves.
Yes.
And then you get it for life.
Yeah.
Even if you just do one term. That's insane.
Yeah. They don't live on the economy. This is
Now, I personally think that this is how most conversations with Republicans go, right? Like, I've had this same kind of conversation myself, literally hundreds, if not thousands of times. And the question is, like, how do you, in a campaign, this type of direct conversation can get someone to vote for you one time, maybe. And in a state like Maine, I actually think it is possible that, like, going and talking to people in person can win you the race. The problem that you have here is informational hygiene. What is her social condition? What is the information, a funnel that she's standing in? A strong interpersonal conversation is going to be overturned by if she just stands into a funnel of bullshit and she identifies with that funnel. So I'm not against having an open mind. I'm not against having these conversations. And I think regular voters, even regular Republican voters, can change their minds. But the fact that they can change their mind doesn't mean that they are changing their mind because you are nice to them or something. And I think that's where, there's a gap between what we want to happen, which is a conversation that's good faith, and then people change their minds based on the evidence presented, versus the reality of how politics is about identity. And you have to build an alternative identity and an alternative structure for people to reside in if you want them to align with you in a durable way.
That's what I think the Congress and the Senate should be doing. They should be living on the economy of the state that they represent.
Absolutely.
Why are we selling our land to other countries?
Because of corporations. Because most corporations today, they don't have allegiances to countries.
No.
They're multinational things. And for me, that's a fairly easy one to go after, which is that American land, certainly farmland, but I think American land in general, that should not be a thing that we just allow a small group of interests to buy it all up.
Yeah.
And then use it as a way of making working people pay them rent.
Yeah.
Just to use it.
Yeah.
I mean, we could make it like a no foreign companies thing, but I actually think if we just make it no corporate interests in general, you get the same outcome.
Well, what about the land that they have upcountry for the Chinese marijuana farms?
Really, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, that just shouldn't be that should not be an option. We've allowed corporate interests, we make them more important than any other interests. And whether it's a company owned in China, or frankly, if it's a company owned by somebody in San Francisco, I actually don't care. Like, they don't have an interest in the place.
In Maine. Yeah.
All they have an interest in is extracting money.
When does the investigation end?
And I think that answer is as good as it's gonna get for a politician, right? Like, he didn't set aside China as like a special enemy. He equated a San Francisco corporation with the Chinese corporation. What are these Chinese weed farms they're talking about? Completely batshit made up, doesn't exist.
And the accountability started.
Because we have a political apparatus and a political class that has essentially turned into nothing but performance. Years of Benghazi hearings about Hillary. And at the end of it, nothing. No accountability, no anything. Years of investigations around Trump stuff.
I haven't forgiven her for that.
I don't blame her, but there's an element where it's just like, you begin to realize that on both sides up there, it's just performance.
Yeah.
We're not going to be able to just go up there and change it immediately. But as a U.S. senator, you're one of 100, some of the most important people in America. And I can talk about this.
Yeah.
And people have to listen.
Oh, okay.
Like the news media, which otherwise is never going to want to have this kind of conversation because, frankly, they're also part of the same apparatus. They're going to have to put it on TV because a U.S. senator is holding a press conference.
Yeah.
I think once that shift starts to happen, whether it's Republican, Democrat, or Independent, when we start electing more people that think like me, those in power some of them are going to just want to stay in power and they're going to change their tune. And those that aren't going to will be able to build the mechanism, the apparatus to get rid of them. And that's when accountability can start to happen.
Do you think he convinced you?
So I've decided to wear my little pin.
Oh, well, thanks.
And I stole it from you.
Oh, that's even better. It was an absolute pleasure. No, thank you. I really appreciate it.
Now, this shit is important, chat, because if you watch this and you're like, her convictions are paper thin, which is true of almost every American. They don't know anything, so why would they have these thick convictions? But this is a good ad because it appeals to Democrats. It appeals to wine moms. It appeals to Democrat voters who don't have the courage of their convictions. They don't believe that they're right and they have the majority opinion. They believe that they have to have somebody who can win over Republicans. Now, on the Republican side, you don't hear them constantly thinking about how they're going to win over Democrats. That doesn't even enter their fucking brain. But for the Democrat, they're so mentally cucked that they constantly evaluate politicians relative to can they convince Republicans to vote for them, which is, again, the born cuckoldry of the average Democrat. But when Graham Plattner makes a video of him talking to a Republican and convincing them to wear a pin, that is great campaign work for a Democrat primary. Oh, he can get Republicans to vote for him. I will vote for Graham Plattner. I already liked him, but if he can get Republicans to vote for him, I'm voting for Graham Plattner. So I applaud this as a very intelligent and well-timed campaign strategy. All her issues are caused by the GOP. Well, yeah, but he didn't put her on the defense. He found common ground. And this is good. Honestly, honest to God, chat. When he mentioned Benghazi, that's the politician equivalent of doing a 360-degree windmill dunk. He hit that hog note. He just it's like when somebody is doing a home run derby and you can hear the bat plonk right as he connects right on the barrel. She was eating out of his fucking hands. If you've ever been at the batting cages with a metal bat, ping, you can just feel the connect from across the entire fucking, the entire, you can just feel the connect. You're on Twitch, call it a 360 no scope. Yeah. So I was really impressed. When I first heard the nickname Mamdani of Maine, I certainly wasn't expecting a blue collar ex-Marine, LOL, but I'm here for it. He's who I wish John Fetterman was. Yeah, well, I mean, John Fetterman is a fucking fraud. I have been warming to Graham Plattner because every time a new event happens in the news, he says the best shit of any politician. And that's how I judge people. I judge people out of what are you doing and saying now? Have you talked about Uber suing New York City for increasing wages? LOL. Of course they did. Of course they did. Okay. Okay, Bitcoin bounced off $65, chat. They bounced off 65. They're back above 66,000. But it's been going almost straight down the entire day. Plattner was pretty good on Left Reckoning. Yeah, pretty cool. How worried are you that Graham Plattner is Fetterman 2 Totenkopf edition? Not very worried. Not very worried. And the reason why I say that is Fetterman was continually moving right as the primary went on, whereas Plattner is doubling down on the left as he continues. And even though he got roasted by a bunch of like people online on the left, he didn't suddenly become a whiny little bitch baby about it. He didn't abandon the left to go, well, I guess I am more centrist because you guys are being so mean to me.
Today, Bitcoin faces pressure amid a sell-off in tech stocks. President.
Okay, we already watched this. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Wait. Northern Lion was looking at the Epstein files? Okay, chat, we gotta watch this. I'm sorry. Northern Lion was talking about the Epstein files? Okay, we gotta watch this. What do we have to do to get a Northern Lion crossover? What would I have to do? Would I have to invade Canada and make them the big 51? Go bald? Okay, first of all, I'm not giving up the one thing I have. I'm not giving up the one thing that I have. I'm not giving that up. Okay? I mean, intellect is the other thing, but I'm talking about physically, NL played Among Us with Hassan in 2020. That's how I got here. Oh, interesting. Offer to wax his head. It seems like he's already got that done and accomplished.
On the top 10 sexiest Canadian cities tier list. I didn't see it. I don't subscribe to Maxim. With the economy.
Why do the left have to have people like Graham Plattner representing the movement? Why is it a must? Why can't we agree he is a clear opportunist with very bad takes and an awful life experience? I don't think he's got very bad takes. I'm sure he has some bad takes, but I think overall, compared to the average senatorial candidate, he's like got the best. Clear on Gaza, clear on abolish ICE, clear on the necessity of Medicare for all, clear on the illegality of the gangster intervention in Venezuela. Like, that's just not true. The other thing is, like, politics is the game of second best. And it's a very unsatisfying thing to say because there is such a thing as a red line. There is such a thing. And I got to be honest with you, chat. I'd rather have a senator who is anti-ICE, anti-intervention, pro-Medicare for all, anti-imperialist, even if he is a former, member of the imperial military. That's America's military. You can't wash your hands of America's military. Excuse me. I think people performatively want to distance themselves from Graham Plattner when it's like, what are you doing to change? Like, you're an American. You are benefiting from the American imperialism. He's at least running for office and voting against it. What are you doing? Tweeting? If he's such an opportunist, where are your I want you to run. Can you be an opportunist? Go be a United States senator so I can support you. Go be a United States senatorial candidate so I can support you. Go show me that you've got thousands of volunteers ready to knock doors for you. Go give me the alternative. And it's like fighting ICE. I'm doing everything I can, I'm promoting, do you see this fucking whistle? I'm doing my dumb, individual activism. I'm trying. I'm going to organizations. I'm joining up in person, campaigning for socialist politicians and giving them my money. I just gave one $1,800 2 days ago. Do you think $1,800 is cheap for me? It's not. But they need to get to some number they can get a government match. And they get $6 for every one. So if I can help get them to that government match, then I do that. I do what I do on my Twitch stream, which is one of the largest sources of recruitment for DSA nationwide. It's like Bernie Sanders' campaign, AOC's campaign, Zohran's campaign, Hassan and me. Those are the top sources of new recruits to fucking DSA. It's like, come on. I'm doing everything I fucking can, including putting my name and my self out there to be a target, a non-anonymous target. And it's like, what do you mean, what am I doing? I'm doing everything I can. I'm sorry I haven't accomplished socialism by myself.
As it is, I had to cut my Maxim Canada subscription. What was number one? I'm going to say Thunder Bay, Ontario. Victoria, BC.
What game is he playing? What game is he playing? Space Warlord Baby Trading Simulator. What the fuck is Baby Trading Simulator? It's Space Epstein?
Much love to everybody on the island. The island? You know what I mean. Not, I thought you were talking about Jamaica. You're talking about the other island. At what point did the island stop being Jamaica and start being Little St. James? I think that we might have just witnessed the moment. You're right, it might have been yesterday. When was it ever the island? Excuse me, whenever you did this, the island. Jamaica had been the island for a long fucking time. I thought it was Hawaii. That shit's like 7 islands or something, man. Chat, did Elon really write girls FTW in an email to Jeffrey Epstein? No, it's a fake, I'm afraid. Oh, but it confirms my priors. It confirms my priors. No! I did see, again, I'm not on social media, but I read Defector. I saw the emails that the longevity doctor has with Epstein. I was like, man, it really is blowing my mind how stupid these guys are. I mean, avoiding the evil part, which is obvious, but like just the way that they talk to each other is so fucking crazy.
Yep. I think the point that I try to make this point a lot, but it needs to be like reasserted, which is the rich are very stupid. I've spoken to and met many rich motherfuckers in my day, and they are dumb as fucking dirt. They are dumb as fucking dirt. They're just the people that are in the designated seats that win. Capitalism can only work if there are some people that are just designated to get all the benefits, and who they are doesn't matter. They're just in the seat. You know, the profits have to go somewhere, and they end up with some guy, and he's not that smart. I think actually Marx said that. There's like a thing about Marx has a quote on this. Something about money hiring wit or something. God damn it. Does anybody know what the quote is that I'm thinking of? Nobody does, because nobody's read Marx. Okay, cool.
Have you ever given any credence to the thought that you might want to live a little bit longer? For the ladies, of course. Fuck are you talking about, bro? Aren't you like 44 years old when you wrote this email or something like that? Aren't you embarrassed to be typing that shit? It's so fucking crazy. The hell they emailing a dude who's on the sex offender registry for like restaurant recommendations, man. It's fucking nonsense. What are they talking about, man? He did write It's
in Michael Burns' Christianity video. Wait, Michael Burns. What? Yo, is it the money call? Is it this one? Or is it a different one? Because Mike, people read theory, they don't remember every little quote. When you're constantly getting confirmation that you're a success, you stop second guessing yourself altogether. The people around you act like sycophants, so they don't question you either. This leads to getting dumber and dumber. I agree with that, but I also think that's a failure of moral fiber. And I also think you have to be kind of dumb to fall for that. Is it this one? Oh my God, I can't type. I don't see it. I hate the way the fucking... I have like multiple chat windows, chat, and one of them is just so fucking useless and terrible. Oh yes, I am brainless. Yes! This is it! You fucking found it! Orion, Antares! Thank you, you so fucking smart! Yes! The power of money, that's what it is! Jesus Christ, he found it! That is for me through the medium of money, that for which I can pay, i.e. which money can buy, that I am myself, the possessor of the money. The extent of the power of money is the extent of my power. Money's properties are the possessor's properties and essential powers. Thus, what I am and am capable of is by no means derived by my individuality. I am ugly, but I can buy for myself the most beautiful of women. Therefore, I am not ugly, for the effect of ugliness, its deterrent power, is nullified by money. I, according to my individual characteristics, am lame, but money furnishes me with 24 feet. Therefore, I am not lame. I am bad, dishonest, unscrupulous, stupid. But money is honored, and hence its possessor. Money is the supreme good, therefore its possessor is good. Money, besides, saves me the trouble of being dishonest. I am therefore presumed honest. I am brainless. But money is the real brain of all things, and how then should its possessor be brainless? Besides, he can buy clever people for himself. And is he who has power over the clever not more clever than the clever? Do not I, who thanks to money am capable of all that the human heart longs for, possess all human capacities? Does not my money therefore transform all my capacities into their contrary? All my incapacities into their contrary. If money is the bond binding me to human life, binding society to me, connecting me with nature and man, is not money the bond of all bonds? Can it not dissolve and bind all ties? Is it not therefore also the universal agent of separation? It is the coin that really separates, as well as the real binding agent, the chemical power of society. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you, Chatter, for finding it. Holy fuck. Thank you so much. He was quoting Shakespeare. Thank you for finding that. Oh, that's so good. That's exactly what I was talking about, which is basically rich people, their individuality is ugly and stupid and worthless and dumb fuck. They're the designated money keepers. So all of that goes away. That's why you want to be rich. That's why you pay the lottery. You don't pay the lottery because you know that winning the lottery is going to make you smart. You play the lottery because it's going to make you rich. Hassan made it to New York, chat.
To my best friend who's on the sex offender list, OMG, pussy is indeed low carb. Still awaiting results on gluten content, though. Like, are you fucking serious, bro? Use your head for 2 seconds. What are you talking? Why are you writing that? Why are you...
Oh, fuck. Northern Lion is reading the Epstein emails. I am in my happy place. If there's one streamer that I think I could legitimately form a parasocial bond with, I think it's Northern Lion. And the reason, and like, I understand why he's successful, because he seems like a guy that he's super approachable, but he's funny, he's witty, and he's got impeccable vibes. And I'm, you know, his age, you know, and I'm in the same stage in my life. And so it's like, I actually get what people get. Like, he's the one person where I'm like, you know, I wish I could meet Northern Lion. It would be nice to hang out with Northern Lion. And I'm like, damn, that's what everybody else feels like. Huh. That's what parasocial feelings are. I like guys that are normal. And there's a culture of young single men that is sociopathic, where it's like, hey, yeah, I'm gonna exploit people. Yeah, I'm gonna get bitches. Yeah. And it's just so fucking gross. I'm so tired of it. I didn't like it when I was that age, but I really hate it now. And he seems to be like, Northern Lion evinces the masculinity that we should all want, you know? Like, people talk a lot about toxic masculinity, but they don't talk about constructive masculinity. And I think Northern Lion is such a great role model for what a man should be like. So we need more guys like this making content. And he's, you know, I worry that it's just a bunch of old heads like me, you know?
Are you writing that to anybody as like a middle-aged man, but like also to Jeffrey Epstein specifically? It's so insane. The worst part is I actually believe that the dude did like a spectrometer analysis on pussy to figure out the macros. Like, that's well, actually the worst part is that it exists to begin with. But like the second worst part is I believe that it's believable to me at least that they could have hired a lab to do this. Also, like, if I may, these are the kind of jokes that we might make on the show. The difference being that you can't be making those jokes with someone who's on the sex offender registry, man, with like the most notorious sex criminal. As soon as the most notorious sex criminal of our generation says, is pussy low carb? You got to step in and be like, you can't say, I'm sorry, you lost the right to end my improv on that one with the whole sex offender stuff. I mean, there's a lot of reasons it pisses me off. I'm a cultural critic now. One of them is the obvious evil. But then the other part is that...
Mike, I enjoy watching you, but your vibes are not nearly as good as Northern Lions, not even in the same league. That's because he's nicer than me. And, you know, I'll be honest with you, chat. He's hanging out with cool people that are nice and cool. Like, he's not talking about politics all the time. You know what I mean? Like, if you were diving... And I'm not trying to claim I have his vibes as good as... Even if I wasn't talking about politics, I don't have the vibes as good as him. I want to make that very clear. His vibes are superior to mine. Like, there's no doubt. Like, it's not even close. Okay? However, in my defense, You're not seeing me in my best vibes. You're seeing me in the worst possible vibes, which is me yelling and being mad about the injustices of the fucking world. Okay. Like, yeah, if I'm bringing you every atrocity live in 4K, the vibes better be fucking bad.
The most annoying people for like 15 years have been like, you know, this is the stuff that's going down. And I'm like, you got to be fucking stupid to believe that. And then they were fucking right, man. So I look like a damn fool. That the most annoying people on the planet have been hitting me with a conspiracy that makes absolutely no sense and ended up being like completely correct. It's insane.
He did an anti-ICE charity event with my buddy Ricky Peacock. It's cool that he lends his platform to smaller streamers that are aligned as far as vibes and worldview. Mad respect for him. You're telling me I am 2 degrees separated from Northern Lion? Let's make that 0 degrees. Chatter, let's make that 0 degrees. Let me piss off every liberal that exists in his audience. Have you seen Ken's article on ICE munitions in Minnesota? Feds stockpile 35,000 munitions in Minneapolis. What kind of munitions? Table of munitions used in Operation Metro Surge. Fucking overkill, a Homeland Security official said of the inventory. I've never seen this amount of shit being used. I've instructed ICE and or Border Patrol to be very forceful in protection of federal government property, labeling ICE opponents lunatics, agitators, and insurrectionists. I love that he learned that word from the Democrats and then they didn't prosecute him at all. It's like, come the fuck on, man. Trump saying we're going to de-escalate a little bit. I and the president expect that any misconduct will not be tolerated and we will be swiftly addressed. 35,765 total munitions on site. I think basically what's happening is, if I had to describe the way I think the federal government is currently operating, it's Stephen Miller is a sadistic fascist and he is pushing his white, like, you know, his ethnic cleansing strategy across the finish line by creating a paramilitary ICE, fully intending to destroy American democracy and install Trump a dictator. And he's intending to cause a Reichstag fire through escalation, right? Which then he would use as a pretense to cite the Insurrection Act and deploy the military against, you know, civilians. I think Trump is just kind of dumb and is going along with that because he's fundamentally a racist and he likes to own libs. But he has an eye on his popularity and he sees it sinking. And he gets worried about being too hated. Because you remember, he's stealing money with both hands while he's in office. And if he gets too unpopular, his ability to do that will be severely constrained. So that's kind of my evaluation of that. Is Trump is taking every fucking corrupt deal he can get his hands on.
Heather Parton, Digby, thanks so much for joining us. Sorry.
Ross Douthat is so scared of Seth Harpy's not releasing their interview. Ross Douthat challenged me to a debate on foreign policy. We recorded a 90-minute segment for his show, Interesting Times, on January 15, 2026. But I defeated him so decisively that he refuses to air the footage. What an absolute coward. Hi, is the New York Times still planning to publish the interview I did with Ross 3 weeks ago? Hi, Seth. We've been working through the edit, and it looks like we're not going to be able to make it work. We're kind of humbled by the news cycle in the last 6 weeks and are going to pivot away from this story. Thanks for the times you put into it and for your expertise. Unbelievable cowardice is on Ross's part and a giant waste of my time. I'm going to make it known what actually happened. Ross challenged me to a debate on foreign policy, got crushed, and doesn't have the intellectual or journalistic integrity to air the footage. I think one of the things that I would say is if you're going to debate Douthat from now on, you need to record it individually on your own. Because giving him the ability to bury it seems to be very stupid. They're going after Bill Clinton. I like Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
Well, I liked his behavior toward me.
This is like watching Aiden Ross as president.
I thought he got me, he understood me, but it bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
Well, I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me, he understood me, but it bothers me.
He got me, he understood me. Bill Clinton, he was a lot like me. We bonded over a lot of different people at the island. He was at my wedding. Remember the accusations that in the email that he sucked off Bubba? Bubba being a nickname for Bill Clinton. Now he's going on NBC News going, I like Bill Clinton. I like Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton, he's the best. I like the way he treated me. It's like, bro.
Down with President Trump at this extremely pivotal moment in his second term. The president making headlines on everything from the immigration crackdown.
I came from Asmongold's stream. I could feel my IQ points tanking quickly, so I left as soon as possible. I mean, the guy's dumb as dirt. Like, what the fuck? Like, of course.
To the economy, to who could top the next Republican presidential ticket. The Oval Office sit down and the major change to immigration enforcement today, a massive drawdown of federal officers in Minneapolis. 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you? What President Trump said he learned from Minneapolis after federal agents fatally shot 2 Americans, and his response when asked if mistakes were made. Plus, the president on the growing tensions with Iran as a U.S. armada stands ready in the region. Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried.
And we pressed him on what those FBI agents were looking for when they raided an election office in Georgia. Plus, who could top the next Republican presidential ticket? What he said about the possibility of a Vice President J.D. Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio run, and his response when asked about if he could still be in office even after his term is over. Plus, Trump's surprising thoughts on former President Bill Clinton. Also breaking tonight, new audio released in the search for Today Show anchor Savannah Guthrie's mother. What dispatch told officers when they realized Nancy Guthrie went missing and the search for a suspect in.
Okay, like, is there any evidence that she was actually kidnapped, or is she just like an 80-year-old that had a stroke and wandered in the woods? Like, what's the evidence?
Intensifying what police are now combing through. Plus, why getting key information from security cameras at her home.
Okay.
He also weighed in on officers leaving Minneapolis. Okay, let's drill down presidential election and whether he thinks Vice President Vance and Secretary of State Marco Rubio should be on the same ticket, with the big question, who should be at the top of that ticket? We covered that and so much more, but we begin with that drawdown in Minneapolis. Okay, let's drill down into the news today. That big change on immigration, 700 officers leaving Minneapolis. Did that come from you?
Yes, it did. But it didn't come from me because I just wanted to do it. We are waiting for them to release prisoners, give us the murderers that they're holding, and all of the bad people, drug dealers, all of the bad people. We allowed in our country, I say 25 million people with an open border policy for 4 years under Biden and that group, the Autopen group, I call them. We allowed to come into our country people the likes of which no country would accept. And we're getting them out, but we've gotten a lot of them out. So crime now in Minnesota, crime now in Minneapolis is down. Crime in all cities is down. And you know why it's down? It's down because of us. It's down in Chicago by 25%, despite the fact that we are always dealing with these people, and they happen to be Democrats.
Right. Speaking of
that don't know anything about crime prevention.
Mr. President, speaking of Minneapolis, what did you learn?
I learned that maybe we can use a little bit of a softer touch, but you still have to be tough. These are criminals. We're dealing with really hard criminals. But look, I've called the people. I've called the governor. I've called the mayor, spoke to them, had great conversations with them, and then I see them ranting and raving out there, literally as though a call wasn't made. We've done a great job everywhere.
After the shooting of Renee Good, you said ICE made some mistakes. What were the mistakes?
Well, look, I'm not happy with the 2 incidents. It's not, it's both of them, not one or the other. He was not an angel, and she was not an angel. You look at some tapes from back, but still, I'm not happy with what happened there. Nobody could be happy, and ICE wasn't happy either. But I'm going to always be with our great people of law enforcement, ICE, police. We have to back them. If we don't back them, we don't have a country.
You mentioned Renee Good and Alex Peretti not being angels. Do you think any of that justified what happened to them, though?
No, I don't. It should have not happened. It was a very sad, to me, it was a very sad incident, 2 incidents. And, they mentioned the one now, they don't mention the other. Well, I think they were both sad. And, who feels worse about it than anybody? The people of ICE. They're strong, tough people, and they have to be tough because we're dealing with hardened criminals. Right. We're dealing with people, Jails have been emptied into our country from all over the world.
Why the fuck is that reporter saying yeah? What the fuck is he talking about?
From Venezuela, where we had great success, you will admit, but from Venezuela, from the Congo and Africa, from all over the world, jails, the jail population was emptied into our country. If we don't have strong people, you're not getting them out, and we're getting them out. Remember this, again, I say it again and again, we have record low crime in the United States. Nobody's been able to say that for 125 years.
So I want to be clear, because it sounds like there is a shift in immigration enforcement here, that there's going to be a shift after Minneapolis. What should Americans expect going forward?
Well, one thing I say to my people, you know, we do a good job, we don't get credit for it. I say they have to ask and they have to say please. When a city is going
to ask and who has
the
to say
mayor
please?
or the governor, I don't want to go and force ourselves into a city, even if their numbers are terrible.
Joe Rogan was one of your biggest endorsers in 2024. He said he understood the president's sort of plan to deport people here who are here illegally, but he also understands why critics compare ICE officers to the Gestapo asking people for their papers. What's your response to him?
Well, look, first of all, he's a great guy. We had a tremendous success before the election. I think it was his biggest interview ever, and over 300 million people. It was very good. She didn't want to do it.
Why nobody challenges Trump on they're emptying their jails into our borders claim? Because these guys are not, they exist from access. Also, is the carpet stained? Or sorry, chat. Like, what is that right there? Like, these might be shadows, but like, what's this? A chunk of shit or something. And so these access journalists don't ever actually challenge the principal, because, you know, then they won't get the next interview. I mean, I'm watching it because they did an interview.
You know, she decided not to do it because she's not capable. I spoke to him 3 days ago. We had a great conversation. All I'm doing, I have to keep.
Did he mention this to you? Did you guys talk about this, the ICE enforcement?
Yeah. Just had a good conversation. I think he's a great guy, and I think he likes me too.
Yeah.
And, you know, liking me isn't important. What happens is that I think we do a phenomenal job, but I don't think we're good at public relations.
What does that mean? You've said that a couple times now. What do you mean by that?
We don't sell the great job that we're doing.
Okay, let's talk about the midterms. You've recently suggested nationalizing elections. What do you mean by that?
And I didn't say national, I said there are some areas in our country that are extremely corrupt. They have very corrupt elections. Take a look at Detroit. Take a look at Philadelphia. Take a look at Atlanta. There are some areas that are unbelievably corrupt. I could give you plenty of more too. I say that we cannot have corrupt elections. If we have to, if they don't straighten it out. As an example, voter ID. Why don't the Democrats want voter ID? You know who does want voter ID? Democrat voters want it, but Democrat politicians don't. Why don't they want it? Because they want to cheat on elections. Can you imagine if I were a politician and they asked me, do you want voter identification? And I said no. There's no way you could win that debate. But even the Democrats don't want voter ID.
I have always been a person who believes we should have universal passports. Every single person in America should get a passport free of charge. And we should go door to door and make sure everybody has a passport and literally make and print them right there in a fucking van. Like, the idea of, they talk about ID, but there's no national ID. I mean, there's the passport card, right? We don't have a national ID that people are given. You have to pay for it, and it costs a lot of money.
They don't want voter ID. That means they want to cheat. We can't allow cheating in elections. Now, if we need to put in federal controls as opposed to state controls, remember this, they're really an agent. They're really accumulating the votes for who wins an election. If they can't do it honestly and it can't be done properly and timely, then something else has to happen.
Will you trust the results of the midterms if Republicans lose control of Congress?
I will, if the elections are honest. Look, I want the last one that wants to complain. I just had a great election. They say one of the greatest elections, you will agree, ever. Won all 7 swing states, won 84% of the counties in America. That's why the map is all red. We just had a great election. I believe there was cheating. I think there was cheating.
Well, speaking of counties, what are you doing in Fulton County?
It was too big to rig.
Speaking of counties, what is happening in Fulton County?
I'm not doing anything, but the FBI went in because it's been under I guess, review for years. the cheating that took place in Fulton County and in that particular
Nobody knows
state.
what's in the warrant. What
Well,
are
you're
they
going to
looking
find
for?
out. Look, why would anybody be upset that they went in and they got the ballots, I guess, right? Again, they did this. That's been under review and under investigation for 4 years. And now they got a court order. You know, they got a court order signed by
But nobody knows what
a
the evidence
respected
is
but
for.
liberal
Yeah.
judge, signed a court order allowing them to go and pick them up. Well, you're going to know what the ballots say because they're right now inspecting the ballot. I'm not involved in it, but they are inspecting and checking the ballot.
Why is Tulsi Gabbard there?
I don't know, but you know, a lot of the cheating comes from it's international cheating.
What the fuck is he talking about? Does anybody have any idea what the fuck he's talking about? Is he going with the conspiracy theory that Venezuela won the election for the, like, I'm kind of curious. Like, okay, so they're trying to manufacture this idea that the 2020 election was rigged to give them pretext to what? Control the ballot so they can rig the election of 2028? But the Constitution says he can't run again. So what are they? They're just, I assume they're just going to ignore the Constitution. But if they ignore the Constitution, why the fuck are we running elections anyway? We just ignored the Constitution. We're just going to cherry pick ad hoc some parts of the Constitution, but we're going to ignore completely the like text that says you can't run more than twice. I mean, what the fuck is he even talking about?
You have people, they say, from China trying to. Let me ask you: do you think China tries to influence our election?
We know that foreign governments try to influence a lot of things in this country.
Therefore,
But
she's foreign governments.
But you've tweeted out some theories about Italians and satellites. I mean, do you believe that stuff?
No, I didn't cheat. I sometimes will read truth. Yeah, I'll read truth. But let me ask you this. If China or any of these countries are involved in our elections, that would bring her into it. And everybody knows that Russia, they talked about Russia, it turned out to be a hoax. It was Hunter Biden, it wasn't Russia. We have to have honest elections. Yeah. There should be nothing wrong with the fact that they went in, got ballots from a while ago, and they're going to look at them. And now they're going to find out the true winner of that state. Yeah. And you know what? If there was cheating, which there was, but if there was cheating, it should be found because we can't let it happen again.
Will you endorse in the 2028 presidential primary?
I hadn't even thought of it, but probably, yeah. I mean, I'd be inclined to. I have great people. We have a great bench. We have a lot of people. But yeah, I think so.
You've suggested that J.D. Vance, Vice President J.D. Vance, and Secretary of State Marco Rubio would be a tough ticket to beat. Who should be at the top of that ticket?
Well, I don't want to get into this. We have 3 years to go. I don't want to, you know, I have two people that are doing a great job. I don't want to have an argument with, I don't want to use the word fight. It wouldn't be a fight. But look, JD is fantastic and Marco is fantastic.
How are they different? How are they different?
And I do think this. It's a great question. I think that's your most interesting question. Yeah. I would say one is slightly more diplomatic than the other.
Brain, I need to come up with something. Well, one of them is the main diplomat, so he's a slightly more diplomatic. It's like watching a sixth grader who didn't read the book try to do a book report in front of the class. The book is The Catcher in the Rye, and what happened is the guy stood there in the rye, and he had a catcher's mitt, and he would catch the ball, but the rye would kind of block his view, and sometimes it would be hard to catch the ball.
I think they're both of very high intelligence. I mean, you know, they will do show.
Very high intelligence. They both have very high intelligence. Very high. I love when my intelligence is high. It's very high, my intelligence.
They will do Joe Rogan as opposed to the opponent not doing it because they couldn't handle it. They will be able to do whatever they have to do. I think there's a difference in style. You know, you can see the style yourself, but they're both very capable. I do think the combination of JD and Marco would be very hard to be beaten, I think. But you never know in politics, right? They say, in the age of Trump, you never know.
On January 21st, 2029, do you see any scenario where you are still president?
I don't know. It would be interesting. But wouldn't it be terrible if I agreed with, you know, if I gave you the answer that you're looking for? It would make life so much less exciting, right? It would be so much less exciting. But I only do this for one reason. Make America great again. And that's what we're doing. We're making America great again, greater than ever before. Our country is greater than ever before.
And during a tour of the Oval Office, we asked about
Mark Warner, top Democrat on Senate intelligence on Gabbard's moves in Fulton County in Puerto Rico. It appears there may be a coordinated effort to try to interfere in the 26 midterms. They may even start to interfere in the primaries or on the Virginia referendum on redistricting, he told us. Okay, all right. So I'm going to take this at face value. I'm going to take this at face value as being true, right? I'm going to take this at face value as being true. This would be treasonous. This would be, I mean, if you believe this is to be true, you should be organizing a civil war. I'm not kidding. Like, if you believe that they're going to try to steal the election, you should be calling up all the Democratic governors. You should be calling up the Brits. You should be calling the French. And you should be saying, hey, we need you guys to come here with independent third-party observers. Like, build up institutions to prevent this. Like your fat ass could do something at a civil. I'm not even fat. 25 BMI. I'm not even fat. Are you fat? How old are you? Okay, we got an old account. Let's see if we can find anything fun. Bang Bang Skeet. So you named yourself after cum. No followers? No clips? You named yourself Two Pump Chump. Bang Bang Skeet. Two Pump Chump. Your name is Two Pump Chump. That's crazy. Borat? Borat? Is Zohran becoming the villain now? Nah, I don't think Zohran's becoming a villain. I just think I think that's a bad. I think endorsing Hochul is a bad idea.
about tensions with Iran. Should the supreme leader in Iran be worried right now?
I would say he should be very worried, yeah. He should be. As you know, they're negotiating with us.
I know they are, but the protesters have said, you know, where are the Americans? You promised them we would have their back. Do we still have their back?
Well, we've had their back, and look, that country's a mess right now because of us. We went in, we wiped out their nuclear.
So
if I didn't take out, you know, we have peace in the Middle East.
Yeah.
If I didn't take out their nuclear, think of it, if we didn't take out that nuclear, we wouldn't have peace in the Middle East because the Arab countries could have never done that. They were very, very afraid of Iran. They're not afraid of Iran anymore.
Are they trying to restart the nuclear program?
Well, I heard that they are, and if they do, and I let them know, if they do, we're going to send them right back and do their job again.
And we also asked about the Clintons' anticipated testimony to Congress over Jeffrey Epstein. NBC News broke the story today. I don't know if you saw it, that the Democrats are already saying if you bring
DGG for life? Okay. Well, now you're talking. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Okay, I think we found him, chat. I think we found his username on DGG. Can white people get the C word past Destiny? Oh my God, he's got so many. He's there every day. Okay, he really wants you to see this video. Horatio Hornblow. Oh, it's from a suspended account. Stop jerking off Melina, incel. He likes to type Play League Yo, Destiny, I was wondering if you could explain why the cops were justified in shooting Jacob Blake. I know you said he had assaulted his girlfriend and was trying to steal a car, but could the cops have tackled him after the taser fail? Sorry for spamming chat, but I really want to hear to elaborate. So he was asking, Destiny was saying some unarmed guy deserved to be killed. You know, of course he did. Destiny, please stream Fortnite instead of League Cuck Crab. Bro, you never posted anything interesting. He's just like a fan. He's just a fan of Destiny. God damn, dude, how old are you? You never said anything interesting or funny in any of these chats. You may be one of the worst chatters I've ever seen. Like, god damn, dude. Sauceless. All right, you don't even get banned. He said he was 21. Oh, God, dude. And you're fans of a fucking sex pest who's illiterate? Yo, stay in school, man. Or learn to weld or something. Jesus. All right, let's keep going.
President Bill Clinton, and he has to testify. We're bringing President Trump. What do you say to that?
I think they might say that, you know, but they've already brought me. See, I've been brought. They had me indicted many times. Many times.
And the president had some surprising thoughts about former President Bill Clinton.
It bothers me that somebody's going after Bill Clinton. See, I like Bill Clinton. I still like Bill Clinton.
What do you like about him?
I liked his behavior toward me. I thought he got me. He understood me. You know, he was the one that said very famously that you don't want to run against Trump when there were 18 people. It was 18 people, including me, total. And he kept telling them, you don't want to run against Trump. Run against anyone. Don't run against Trump. And Hillary sort of laughed at him.
Okay, wait. What does he say? Better a sex pest than what? Wait. He's trying to talk? Better a sex pest than a couch punched? That's it? My favorite thing about the couch punching thing is they fixated on that because it was apparently Destiny still had a thing for this girl I was dating 7 years ago now. And he was like super frustrated because Destiny could never really change her politics, I guess. And she was pretty problematic. You know, he spent years talking to her. She was pretty right-wing and problematic. But after dating me, she became like a super far left person. She ultimately got perma'd from Twitch for supporting Hamas. And it's like, damn. It's like, damn, that's crazy. So they fixate on it because I guess, I don't know why, because they think there's like a bad clip of me where I'm like embarrassed or something. Like I got embarrassed. She was being kind of a bitchy and I got embarrassed. And it was 7 years ago and that's it. That's what they think is good. And it's like, every time you bring her up, you just remind me of the fact that he's a permacuck. It's just comical. He's a permanently frustrated cuck. That's why his wife left him for like an unemployed TikToker. Motionless. It's like, God, bringing up someone's relationship from 7 years ago to try to own them. And it's like, bro, come on, man. He's an actual fucking sex pest who committed crimes. And he advocated in favor of child pornography. And he's done a hell of a lot more cringe things than that. Don't make me go through it because I don't really care. Holy shit. That's crazy, dude. At least Destiny gets some. You mean secretly records women or tries to find vulnerable 19-year-old girls with mental illnesses to exploit and then gets them to record like the sexual encounter that uses it as blackmail? Yeah, man. That's getting some. That's crazy. They said they're Polish. Oh, that makes so much sense. This is your attempt at getting some. But I did, though. That's why you guys are still talking about it. Because I did. That's why he fixated on it. That's why he still talks about it 7 years later. But I did, though. I think it's one of those things where it's like, bro, you're not on the team, man. Holy fuck. That's crazy. The next Democratic president better be merciless. Yes. Yes. Notice, like, the one thing that I love about these kind of guys in general, I think he's boring. He's boring me now. One of the things about these guys in general is notice that they never come and go, hey, remember, Mike, when you debated Destiny and you said that Medicare for all was a good policy? Well, here's why it's wrong. Owned. Remember this clip where you looked really bad in the argument you made with him? Except they've never done that. And they have all of our debates like logged, you know. And our first debate, the Destiny fans wrote a summary of it. It was a 2-hour debate. It's 1 sentence long. How do you think Destiny did in the debate that lasted 2 hours and their summary of it is 1 sentence long? Destiny thought only rich people take out student loans. Destiny did not know you could borrow money against your stocks. Destiny could not find Israel on a map. It's like, God damn, dude, you're a fan of, you think that guy's intellectually intelligent. Holy shit. This is what it sounded like after I finished debating Destiny. This is how much I big bro'd him. Here, hold on. I'm playing it just for this guy. Hold on, let me get it here. Where is it?
I really enjoy this guy's perspective, and he seemed to have like a huge amount of knowledge about electoral politics. Now electoral politics are way more interesting to me, and this guy seems to have like a good backing.
He was in love, but the reason why he got mad is I went on Hassan's stream and we laughed at him, and that started the anti-Mike arc. We laughed at him for being a moron. We made fun of him, and here we are 7 years later. Actually, it's even funnier. He tried to strawman you, say you can't borrow against tax advantage accounts, which wasn't the point you were making, but you can, famously 401k loans. Yeah, I know, but that's not what I was talking about. I wasn't talking about somebody's retirement accounts. I was talking about the wealthiest billionaires. They're not borrowing against 401ks, right? I was talking about the richest people on the planet. They don't have 401ks, or if they do, they're, 0.001% of their wealth. You know what I mean? They have large holdings in stocks or options or real estate. It's not their taxed advantage accounts. It is their main holdings. Destiny being into politics is Mike's fault. No, it's not. No, it's not. Like a year after this, he debated Sam Cedar and argued you need income to get a loan and wealthy people can't use assets as collateral. I mean, this, like, honestly, if you talk to anybody who's like even a regular real estate agent, they will talk to you about asset only loans. Like if you have more than $5 million in assets, you can get a mortgage. Like, obviously you can. You don't have to prove income. You just show that you have $5 million in net assets and they'll give you a loan. And for millions of dollars, by the way. The amount of asset needed is dependent upon the amount you're trying to finance. Like there is like, he doesn't even know basic shit. And it's kind of embarrassing. If you have 5 million in assets, you're not getting a $5 million loan. You're getting maybe 1 million. Yeah, of course. That's my, but do you, exactly. That's my point. Do you need $1 million to live off of? Chat, if you could swing $35 a week into an index fund, just do it. You will not regret in 15 years. I mean, maybe, or maybe you won't. Maybe you will. Stock market may go flat for 15 years. It's happened before. People are very focused. Like, look at this. If you bought stocks, if you bought the Dow, January 30th, 2000, or December 10th, somewhere around there. Here, oh my God, I want to. It was at 11,500. It was below 11,500 for like 10 years. You could have made $0 in 11. In 11 years, the stock market went sideways. Now, in the last I'd say the last 5 years, it's really spiked. It got straight up, but it doesn't necessarily have to do that. And that has created a lot of people are very short term, which is like the last 5 years have been without a doubt pretty impressive in the gains. And that has, made people think that the stock market returns 10% a year. Well, much of that return is actually just assuming you had bought at the beginning of a bull market. And you can't use past results as a guarantee of future results. And the United States of America, at its position in the world, in 91, it became the undisputed global hegemon. And that's the period since 91. So most of our, our lives, as our entire adult lives, America was the undisputed global hegemon. That is now changing. There is indeed a new competitor. And that's why you're seeing all sorts of this weird shit happening.
He said, Hillary, you know it, and I know, don't run against Trump. Yeah. And they ran against Trump. It didn't work out too well, did it? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. President. We thank you for your time. Thank you. When we continue, the new details in the search for Savannah Guthrie's mother, the new dispatch audio just out, and what the president said today when we return in 60 seconds. Welcome back. When my interview with the president concluded today off camera, he asked to speak with Savannah Guthrie, stepping out of the Oval Office and calling her to talk about the disappearance of her mother. He let her know that he supports the family and is thinking about them and assured her every resource was available as needed.
By the way, have you guys noticed that don't is redacted a lot in the files? D-O-N-T. I think the FBI accidentally redacted don'ts when they were trying to redact Don Trump, or Don T. Something to think about, chat. Wow, holy shit, it's already noon. Where did the time go, chat? Well, I have to go. I am so sorry. I'm sending you guys, gals, non-binary pals over to Shmeo. I have to go. I have to leave right now. So hopefully Vio is online. I didn't realize it was already noon. And I forgot to shill too. Fuck. All in all, thank you, chat, for letting me make fun of that Destiny fan. It's because it's fucking awesome. Can you republish your old VODs? Just finished watching Pluribus and wanted to see your old takes on it. I probably can. Sure. S&P 500's total return from 2008 to 2015 was approximately 125%, including dividends. Yeah, but that's arbitrary. Those are two arbitrary dates. That's my point. It's like you have the right now is arbitrary. Is what I'm saying. You're counting on past performance to guarantee future results, and that's not a good way of looking at investing. You need to have an explanation of why things are going to continue to improve. You can't just say, well, they went up in the past. Not a good reason. All right, everybody. See you tomorrow. Peace out. Here's all my links. Free Palestine.